¿Qué tal amigos de Líderes Sports Media? Santiago Beltrán acá el día de hoy y hoy estoy acompañado de Phil Brooks que va a estar haciendo conmigo la transmisión. Vamos a hacer una transmisión bilingüe, yo voy a estar narrando en español y Phil va a estar haciendo los comentarios en inglés. Phil, how are you doing?
Doing good. It is so exciting to be here with you, Santiago, and to do my first color commentary of my life. So have some grace on me today.
Are you excited?
I'm so excited. This is, the last game of the season, and there's still stuff on the line on the last day. It's not exactly what you want in the last game, but it is going to be an exciting one for that reason.
Yes, so still some stuff to play for City2. El equipo de City2 necesita un empate o una victoria para asegurar una victoria en casa en los playoffs.
Let your St. Louis City2!
Phil, what do you think about this game?
Well, it is a rivalry. That's another reason to be excited about this game. And so it is one that the teams will both get up for. I know in the first game I was reading some notes about how the first one went. It was a defensive battle. It wasn't easy for St. Louis to score. Once they got that goal, it got a little chippy in the second half. So we could see a little bit of that today. Hopefully we see St. Louis control the game like they're capable. But we've also seen teams able to use the counter to good effect, grab a goal,
Now we
and
ask
defend
that
out the
you
rest of
please
the game. So
rise
we'll
and
see how
remove
that
your
goes today
hats for the playing of our national anthem.
Ahora venimos con los actos protocolarios, ya regresamos con ustedes. Bueno, ya está todo listo para que empiece este partido.
And now let's see tonight's starting 11 for your St. Louis City2.
Necesita
Starting in goal, number 18, Michael Creek.
y pues ya están los
On
jugadores en el
defense,
campo.
number 8, Akil Watts.
Phil, you were saying this play.
Number
this is
15,
the
your
best
captain, Josh Yarrow.
Yes, they have. Yeah, like
Number
I said, got chippy
21,
and
Kyle Beavers.
Schneider red card actually.
And number
So that's
25,
the disciplinary
Ben
problem with the
DeRosa.
early ones. And so
Starting at
Schneider is in the
midfield,
game.
number
today.
7,
See how
Juan Jose.
and also being a stout defender.
Number 11, Celia
For in case he hasn't had too much to
Pompeu.
play for, but as you said,
Number
it is
23, Max
a rival. They're
Schneider.
gonna
And
do the
number
best they can.
28,
They brought
Miguel
part of the
Perez.
first team. Haven't had a
And
lot of
starting
games
at
with the
forward,
team, but
number
they have been the
10,
last few weeks.
Vitor
Kind of
Diaz.
collecting some stats.
And number 27, Tomasz
They're
Ustra.
starting to get the offense going. They recently had a
St. Louis
5-0
City2 is led by head
the
coach
Rapids, the
John
biggest score
Ackworth.
differential they've had in a game, and it's in the club's history, on the two teams' history. And Bagayoko also has scored 4 goals in the last 4 games, which is all the goals he scored this season, but he is starting to get going.
Yeah, I was looking at Bakayoko, and he has been a starter like for the last month and a half, and he has been the leading scorer in those games. So somebody to keep an eye on today.
Also, we've heard a lot of praise from Hackworth and Juan Zane, who also spent a lot of time in the Sporting Kansas City system, talking about Benny Feilhaber, the head coach, and I'm blanking on the Ipapara, of course, as the assistant, and how great those guys are and how good coaches they are and good with the players. And so it'll be fun to kind of see how they close out the season, possibly as spoilers for St. Louis really wanting a home game in the first week of the playoffs, if not for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and a home game that we still don't know where it's going to be, but I guess the team will sort that out. First, you have to secure the home game and then go from there.
Yeah, it was fun to see Tom Timmerman lay out some of the options that we have for the coming weekend as far as where the game can be played. But it doesn't matter, does it? We were a little disappointed today that the game wasn't in the Centene Stadium with the electrical problems that happened. Mysterious electrical problems are still being worked on, but we're still so excited. We've got a good turnout today. The drums, the hooligans are going really crazy today. It's a really good crowd, good weather. We've survived. No rain showed up today, so it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And the teams, los equipos están cambiando de lado y ya todo está listo para que empiece este partido. St. Louis va a formar con Michael Crick, Joe Jarrow, Kyle Beaver, Akil Watts, Benny Rosa en la defensa. En el medio campo, Max Snyder, Juan Hussein, Miguel Pérez, Ostrak, que sería el único jugador del primer equipo que está de los extranjeros firmados este año que estaría jugando hoy. Y adelante tenemos la dupla de Víctor Díaz y Celio Pompey. Ya todo listo para que empiece este partido. ¿Ready, Phil?
I am ready.
Ok, va a sacar Sporting KC2, va a ser el equipo que va a sacar Sporting KC2 el día de hoy. El arquero Carlito Ceylon, 16 años, jugador de la academia. Vamos a ver cómo le va a St. Louis probando los reflejos de St. Louis. Y ya estamos jugando, cabecea Josjaro, le queda Sporting KC y viene Hiver, la rechaza rápidamente. Balón en el medio campo, le queda a Miguel Pérez, le queda a Víctor Díaz, juega con Miguel Pérez juega con Ostras rápidamente la abre para Celio hace rápidamente un pase al borde del área, remate, pega en un defensor y se va al tiro de esquina. Primera oportunidad para St. Louis City2. City2 started charging, Phil. What do you think?
Wonderful. A lot of combination play, quick passing up the left flank. We see Celio cutting in and getting a cross in. He's very successful with crosses, one of the best in the league, actually. He leads the league in a lot of stats that I'll get to at some point coming up here. But now we see Diaz on the corner, the first set piece for City.
Se viene el tiro de esquina, está Víctor Díaz y también está cerca Akil Watts, pero finalmente parece que va a ir al área. Centro de Víctor Díaz, segundo palo, nadie se levanta, balón pasa por el área, la pelea Ostrak, finalmente la recupera Sporting KC, le queda otra vez a St. Louis. Si Rosa saca un centro al área, tiene que rechazar el número 71 Mikey Lennis, balón en el medio campo, cabezazo Sporting KC, la pelea Max Snyder y acá cae un jugador de Sporting KC y dice la señora juez que hay una falta.
Seeing a little bit of swarm here, not too much yet. I think they're reserving some energy here early on, but it is already starting to get a little bit physical, which is what we want to see in St. Louis City. It's been a little bit of a conservative press so far, but I'm sure we'll see that get rabid as the game goes on.
Viene saliendo Sporting KC con Lennis. Lennis juega hacia la derecha buscando a Jake Davis. Jake Davis la para, pero se le fue larga, le queda a Akil Watts lo marca Davis, finalmente le quedaba a Ostrak que juega con Pérez juega hacia atrás con Giver y St. Louis empieza a abrirla de lado a lado con Josh Yaro, ahora con Di Rosa saca un pase largo buscando a Juan Hussein cerca al área, juega con Celio la para, cambia de dirección, juega hacia atrás con Di Rosa va otra vez con Celio al borde del área, centro y se va un poquito pasado. Buena aproximación de St. Louis City 2.
Maybe now is a good time to talk about that formation. We've been kind of trying to guess what would happen. Hackworth said in the presser this week that it didn't work having a false nine up top in the last game, so we thought we might see a couple strikers that are natural strikers like Dito Armstrong, perhaps is what was the other one, Caden Glover?
Caden Glover, yeah.
Yeah, so we might have seen them. We saw neither. Instead, we see so far it looks like Diaz and perhaps Celio are up top as strikers. There might be a 4-4-2 going right now with Akil Watts playing left back instead of central mid, and Miguel Perez getting a start today, his second start of the season, playing central mid so far. Alstrek on the left, and Zane on the right. That'll get us started at least, yeah?
Yeah. Doing something different today, but with the absences of Josh Dolling and Joao Klaus, you have to figure out something so you don't have a natural number 9 besides Dita Armstrong and Caden Glover. But I guess Coach Hackworth wanted to go with the guys that have gotten us here.
Yeah, and I asked about it. I didn't get too much of an answer, but as far as the pressing system and how important that is, I think the last time I was here, or maybe 2 times ago I was here, was the Chicago Fire game. It was Klaus's first start. And the thing I noticed most was the pressing being a little bit light in the first half when he played. And so that may be something that they don't want to trust someone in an important game leading to the playoffs to learn the pressing system and have it be exact and tight. We'll see. Maybe they'll come in later in the game. But of course, the guys playing today are very well acquainted with the system.
Bueno, acá no ha pasado mucho. La rechazó Sporting KC2 al saque de banda y está St. Louis sobre 3/4 de cancha. Balón hacia atrás para Yaro. Yaro juega hacia atrás con Hibbert. Hibbert se la devuelve rápidamente a Yaro. Yaro la tiene que rechazar. Lo presionaba Sporting KC. Y acá hay un fuera de lugar. Estaba Sergio Pompeyo fuera de lugar. Estamos sobre 5 minutos del primer tiempo. Partido 0-0 y hasta ahora Sporting KC no ha pasado del medio campo. We're seeing that press from St. Louis City2 so far, right?
Yes, we are. And Sporting Kansas City, I think St. Louis City has a really good opportunity because one of the weak points, I believe, in some of the highlights I watched this week, Sporting Kansas City does have a tendency to turn it over in their own half or in the midfield, and that's exactly what City is best at. And so look to see City try to capitalize on that. Also, maybe watch for Sporting Kansas City to get caught out. They have a lot of young players that may hold the ball a little bit too long, open themselves to a good City tackle, and then they're off to the races.
Bueno, acá por fin Sporting KC2 pasó del campo de St. Louis y está cerca al área con TJ Fata. La rechaza, balón en el área, la tiene Davis, saca un tiro, pega en Hibbert, le queda otra vez a Davis y la tiene que rechazar Josh Yaro. Se aproximaba Sporting KC, primera aproximación y logró rechazar St. Louis. Balón hacia atrás, balón hacia el medio campo para Esley. Esley juega con Brad, jugaban con Jay Davis, la recupera St. Louis, pero el tacón de Celio se fue hacia la defensa de Sporting KC. Viene saliendo Sporting KC, pases hacia atrás, hacia el medio campo, tratando de que St. Louis salga y le dé espacio. El balón para Brad, juega con el número 71 Lenis. Siguen tocándola y finalmente va el balón hacia atrás para Carlito Ceylon, que es el arquero de 16 años, jugador de la academia, y hoy le dan la oportunidad desde el vamos para Sporting KC2.
Looking at how Sporting Kansas City likes to play, and if you think about like 5 years ago, Sporting Kansas City was one of the first teams to really, maybe longer ago than that, to really care about possession, and they've gotten away with from that. They are now more practical, at least on the 2 side here, and so they do a mix of possessing a little bit and definitely trying to get turnovers high up the field. They're on a good run here.
Venía Sporting KC, la corta Kyle Hibbert, juega con Víctor Díaz, Celio Pompeo, pero finalmente la rechaza Sporting KC2. Balón al arquero.
Wonderful step there from Hebert. He gets upfield just at the right time. It's very much a veteran move of his that he does regularly. And immediately on the turnover, you see the back line just press up the field. Right now, they got their toes on the center line. So St. Louis City playing with a high line. You see Sporting Kansas City testing it now, going long and behind. But so far, they're able to handle it.
Bueno, balón largo buscando a Bakayoko. Buena triangulación de Sporting KC por la izquierda. Llegan a la línea final. Centro. Cabezazo de Hibbert. Se perfilaba Bakayoko, pero le estorbó un compañero y finalmente rechaza a St. Louis. Balón sigue cerca al área. La tiene Sporting KC. Cabecea a St. Louis. Finalmente tiene que rechazar Bendy Rosa. Y St. Louis se complicaba un poco. Ahora presionando en el campo de Sporting KC2 para recuperarla, pero los últimos 2-3 minutos el dueño de las acciones ha sido Sporting KC2. Finalmente la recupera Ostrak, pase para Celio. Celio tiene espacio. Víctor Díaz tiene espacio. Víctor Díaz la transporta. Juega con Celio. Celio al arco. Y muy bien el arquero Ceylon controla el remate. Buena aproximación de St. Louis, buena combinación de Díaz con Celio.
Celio, again, I said that he was leading in a lot of different stats. Here's a couple of them. He leads the league in successful crosses, successful dribbles, and he's second in key passes. Now, I've been a little harsh on him about his finishing, but his accuracy and shots on goal are actually pretty high as far as the rest of the league is concerned. So we saw a shot on goal there. Was it terribly dangerous? No, but it was a good combination play from City, and it led to a shot on goal. That's a good start.
Yeah, that was a good chance created by City2, but Celio couldn't get a good shot there. But at least St. Louis, Sporting KC two for the last 2-3 minutes, they were in St. Louis part of the field. So good thing St. Louis is gaining possession and creating some chances.
Yeah, we just saw Ostrak do the most crazy press I've seen through the game so far from him. There must have been some trigger that happened. I think we saw the right back kind of getting isolated on the sideline here, and so they went for a turnover. Didn't happen this time, but something to watch going forward.
Tiene Sporting KC, le quedaba Jake Davis, rechaza a Díaz, le queda Celio, Díaz presiona, finalmente le queda Sporting KC, que juega en la parte de atrás con Isley. Isley juega hacia atrás con Tailón saliendo de su área, juega con Rad, se la devuelve a Ceylon. Sporting KC tomándose su tiempo, buscando la salida, presiona un poco Díaz, le queda a Snyder, la recuperada, pero finalmente vuelve hacia atrás al arquero Ceylon, tratando de salir Sporting KC, presiona desde la salida de Pompeo, viene Ostrak también, todos los jugadores de Luis presionan en el campo de Sporting KC2 y la recuperaba Ostrak y lo agarran de la camiseta y la árbitro pita una falta a favor de City2.
Saw a nice turnover there. The City staying high, even if they lose the ball, they stay high and look for another turnover, and that's what we saw there. Schneider and Ostrak getting stuck in, Ostrak drawing a foul, and now we have a set piece opportunity in the final third, just barely in the final third. But we've seen some success here from different players. We have Aquila standing over the ball as well as Vitor Díaz.
Jugada de pelota quieta, están aquí Watts y Vitor Díaz. Vamos a ver cuál de los dos le da. Se abre aquí y finalmente viene el centro de Díaz. Sale el arquero Ceylon, la puñetea, le queda a Hussein se la da a Ostrak, que remata y pega en un jugador de Sporting KC. Balón al tiro de esquina. Buena aproximación de Cirios, que sigue tocando la puerta.
And we see, Santiago, you said earlier, we have a 16-year-old goalkeeper who might have been able to come out and grab that with his hands. He decided to punch it and play it safe. But yeah, I think we might have a little clue here that we have a 16-year-old Khalida Ceylon in goal. 2 starts. This is his 3rd start, I believe. And so we'll see how he does throughout the rest of the game.
Viene el tiro de esquina. St. Louis. Tiro de esquina por el lado derecho. Se muestra Hussein, pero finalmente balón al área. Cabezazo al marco. ¡Gol de St. Louis City 2! Kyle Hibbert se levanta y abre el marcador para St. Louis City 2, remate de cabeza, rebotó en un defensa de Sporting KC 2 y se fue al fondo de la red. 1-0 para St. Louis City 2 sobre 12 minutos y se abre rápidamente el marcador y St. Louis empieza a asegurar esa localía en la primera ronda de los playoffs. Bill?
That is not the first goal we've seen on a set piece from Kyle Hibbert. That's his 2nd of the season. Found himself in space and hammered it home to an open goal to the left. He's happy. He's pumping his fist right now. That's a good start for St. Louis. Now they just got to hold on and hopefully score some more goals.
Yeah, that's a great start. Now the game should open a little bit more for City2, and hopefully St. Louis City2 will be able to get a 2nd goal to secure the result it needs today. Veremos cómo reacciona el equipo de Sporting KC2. Buena jugada de St. Louis City 2, remate de
St. Louis City 2 goal, his 2nd of the season, scored by number 21, Kyle Akil Watts.
Saque de banda.
In the 12th minute of play,
Recupera
Heber
Celio,
from
para St.
Watts.
Louis. Celio con el balón, la rechazaba Sporting KC, finalmente le queda otra vez el rechazo a Celio. Celio entra por el lado izquierdo, se acerca al área, saca un centro que se va pasando el área, no había nadie ahí, y se va al saque de banda a favor de Sporting KC2. Great start for City2, feel like a goal within the first 15 minutes, and that should open things up.
Yeah, I think that's 4 or 5 corners they've taken now in this game, and one already led to a goal. That's another stat I was trying to look up today. I found it at some point. St. Louis, I believe, leads the league in corners taken. So that's something we've been able to use to our benefit. A surprising amount of our goals come from corners and from outside the 18. So that's something else.
1-0 y vamos a ver cómo reacciona Sporting KC. Por ahora la recuperaba St. Louis, va el balón hacia atrás para Sporting KC, balón para Brad, juega con Lennis, lo presionaba a Ostrak, Lennis juega con Pata juega con Jake Davis la para, mira con quién, jugaba hacia adelante, la tiene, y acá hay una falta a favor, fuera de lugar, y balón para St. Louis City. Trataba de reaccionar Sporting KC2, pero hasta ahora no pasa nada. Tiene Kyle Heber juega con Josh Yaro jugando con Benny Rosa, Di Rosa juega hacia atrás con Yaro. St. Louis busca salir, busca que Sporting KC2 presione, y venía Jake Davis, juega Heber con Akil Watts, se la pasan entre los dos. Watts saca un pase largo buscando a Celio, pero levanta la bandera el asistente y dicen que acá hay fuera de lugar. Was that offside, Phil? What did you see?
I think we're at a bad angle. I'm afraid to comment on that. It looked on to me, but either way, it was a good run. I think more importantly, we see St. Louis start to possess it in the back line. They pass it around a few times, and then they're not looking to pass through the middle of the Sporting Kansas City defense. That's not what they do. They send it long in behind to Celio. He gets himself open and into space, offsides, of course. But we're not going to be trying to get through this Sporting Kansas City defense. Going long will be something we see from time to time, as we see here from Michael Green going long.
Looking at the scores around the league, Tacoma Defiance and Portland tying 0-0 so far. That result will secure a home field advantage in the Western Conference for St. Louis City2, but it's still a lot of soccer to be played.
Portland, not one of the best teams in the Western Conference, never in the league for that matter, whereas Tacoma has a 2.2 point differential as far as points per game, I mean. So it's going to be a tough win for Timbers too, but they have it in them. They can be spoilers today for Tacoma as well.
Bueno, viene saliendo St. Louis, balón para Di Rosa juega con Ostrak se devuelve, juega con Di Rosa otra vez, y Di Rosa complicaba un poco, rechaza un jugador de Sporting KC2 y balón al saque de banda para St. Louis. St. Louis saca rápidamente, balón para Díaz juega con Hussein, trataban de combinarse, pero leyó bien la jugada Sporting KC, y ahora Sporting KC al ataque, pasa al medio campo, cambio de frente, balón para Jake Davis, todos los balones parecen pasar por Jake Davis, juega hacia la derecha para Lennis se la devuelve a Davis, que juega con Rad juega con Davis, tocando la Sporting KC, juega con Lennis, la triangulan entre los dos, balón hacia atrás, y Sporting KC en su medio campo, pase largo, pero la controla bien Di Rosa, y ahora viene St. Louis al ataque, prende la moto Juan Hussein tiene a Díaz por la derecha, Díaz hace la pausa, tiene un jugador presionado, se acerca al área, hace una finta, trata de sacar un remate, de rebota en la defensa de Sporting KC, la recupera Max Snyder juega hacia la derecha para Di Rosa juega con Snyder, St. Louis ahora tratando de abrir espacios, juegan hacia atrás para Yaro juega con Di Rosa tiene espacio, puede sacar un centro, Di Rosa finalmente decide jugar con Ostrak con Miguel Pérez se la da a Celio saca un remate, pero muy débil y a las manos de Carlitos Ceylon.
Now that is a play that's going to make our friend Matt Baker very happy. We see Ostrak coming central, just outside the box, playing a little central, attacking mid. Now they've been very fluid. Ostrak comes inside all the time. We heard Hussein talk about the attacking midfield players being tense, that they all rotate, that they don't all have to stay in one spot. They have that freedom. We see Ostrak doing that in 4-4-2 today, so that's nice to see that they have some freedom in that way. And him being a good playmaker.
That was very interesting about the three number 10s. That was a great question from you, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, he set me up for it, luckily, and I had the time to ask the question, which isn't always the case. But yeah, he mentioned the 10s doing something in a former question, and so we got to dig a little deep on that. It was really fun. That's the stuff I live for, right?
Sí, nos contaba Juan Hussein esta semana que en el sistema de este equipo ya casi aproximadas por KC2, finalmente controla Josh Jarrow. En la salida, bien Hussein juega con Díaz atacan 3, defienden 4, Díaz, Hussein, Pompeo, finalmente pase hacia atrás para Pérez tiene espacio, vamos a ver si se anima, Pérez la transporta, saca un remate, rebota en la defensa, finalmente balón para Sporting KC, acá hay una falta de Max Snyder y el jugador de Sporting KC en el piso. Les contaba Phil esta semana que tuvimos la oportunidad de hablar con Juan Hussein y nos contaba que en este sistema con el que juega City2 hay 3 número 10 y pues nos contó un poco sobre lo que hacen y los diferentes movimientos, pero nos llamó mucho la atención lo de los 3 número 10. Estamos ya 20 minutos, partido 1-0 a favor de City2.
Let's give Sporting Kansas City a little love here. They've had some luck in combining. They look for a spot where they can kind of get comfortable and start rondoing a little bit. And I've seen a couple switches that haven't paid off for them yet, but we see Josh Cohn kind of slipping up. We see Fatah dropping in at times when the ball is not working its way forward. So we've seen some work. None of it has paid off for them. But this has been nice too, watching is this Salifu running in behind. He's been very dangerous so far. Josh Jarrow has done a good job of shutting him.
Se aproximaba Sporting KC con Bakayoko y Josh Jarrow muy bien en el rechazo, pero hay tiro de esquina para Sporting KC2 que está tratando de sacudirse del dominio de City2 y buscar el empate. No necesitan un resultado, pero vinieron a competir hoy y tienen hombres importantes como Jake Davis, como Cavi Rad, que son parte del primer equipo y no han tenido muchos minutos con el primer equipo, pero han tenido la experiencia de entrenar y salieron al primer equipo. Se viene el tiro de esquina, balón al primer palo, cabezazo de Sporting KC2, se fue un poquito desviado, pero da signos de que está atacando. Buen cabezazo del número 61, Josh Cohn, y buena aproximación de Sporting KC. Knocking on the door, the right field.
Indeed, forcing the corner with a good pass in behind, forcing Josh Jarrow to put the ball out, and Sporting Kansas City got their first corner of the day and perhaps off the training ground. Another good ball behind.
Sí, Sporting KC y tiene que salir a cortar muy bien el arquero Michael Crick. Ese era TJ Fata y muy bien Michael Crick que salió de su arco a cortar, pero Sporting KC haciendo lo suyo, buscando el empate y no le va a hacer las cosas fáciles el día de hoy a St. Louis City 2. Viene Josh Jarrow en la salida, balón largo, buscaba a Miguel Pérez, pero finalmente Celio se adelanta, la controla, juega con Ostrak que se abre por la izquierda, viene Ostrak hace la pausa, juega atrás con Celio juega hacia atrás con Snyder tiene espacio, la abre hacia la derecha para Di Rosa iba muy rápido y el balón se le fue a la línea de fondo y hay saque de meta para Sporting KC2.
St. Louis City is just so dangerous all over the pitch. We have so many talented attackers on the field right now. It doesn't matter who gets the ball, and it doesn't matter if one person gets shut down. We see Ostrak getting stopped by 2 Kansas City defenders. He turns, and there's someone to pass the ball to because they're running on. That person gets stopped, and there's someone else to pass the ball on to. We work all the way over to Ben DeRosa running in on the right flank, and he's able to send the ball in. Didn't pay off, but St. Louis has so many options. We're a little spoiled, aren't we, Santiago?
Yeah, so many options. One thing, and I think I said it in Spanish, but only Thomas Ostrak has in the field. The rest is guys who were with City2 at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and I think we were both a little surprised to see Michael Creek start today. He had a wonderful Open Cup game, but I think we've seen him struggle in different times. He's been good today, of course. But John Hackworth mentioned how this isn't just a team that needs to win; it's a team that needs to develop. And so that shows to me in that answer that Michael Creek is someone they want to develop. He also said, I may have taken that the wrong way. He said not to say that Creek has been bad in any ways. That's me putting words in his mouth, of course. But that's something to keep in mind, that it's really nice. We've got a lot of players that got us here, not just the players that are the icing on the cake for next year.
Bueno, ataca St. Louis, balón para Ostrak en el borde del área. Ostrak buscando a Kusein. Kusein juega con Snyder. Snyder saca un remate y se estira bien Ceylon y evita el gol de St. Louis City2. Buena combinación de Kusein con Snyder, y Snyder con espacio saca el remate, pero controla bien el arquero Ceylon, arquero de 16 años, que ya este es su tercer partido como titular con City2, con Sporting KC2, jugador de la academia. Nos contaban acá la persona de prensa de Sporting KC, y es bueno ver estos jugadores tan jóvenes jugando a este nivel. Ojalá más adelante veamos a Caden Glover jugar para City2 de pronto en el segundo tiempo. I was talking about this 16-year-old that is on goal. It's very impressive, isn't it?
You love it, and you love the guy getting the chance in a game like this. And we were just talking about how Polskamp, who started the season off in the Sporting KC2 roster, if I'm not mistaken, or at least he's listed, and how he's been taking over for Melia perhaps for the rest of the season. We got word today that Melia might be making his way back because the rehab's going well. But Kansas City, they're not afraid to give these guys chances, these younger players. In this case, the 16-year-old, he's doing fine.
Yeah, he's doing okay. There was some hesitation on one of the crosses from St. Louis, but overall he's doing fine. Opción para Sporting KC2, y ese era Salifu, que la remata por encima de la portería de Michael Creek. Sporting KC2 sigue insistiendo y no le va a hacer las cosas fáciles a St. Louis City2.
So we have the game plan, right? John Hackworth has talked about how it doesn't matter how a team plays everyone else in the league or what their normal system is. When they come to St. Louis City, there's one way to beat them. Every team does it. They try to send balls in behind on the counter. And so if you can get one player or even two or three following behind that one player who can hold the ball up, be dangerous on the dribble, pass it off to another on-running attacker, that is the way to score on St. Louis City. We've seen them test that mostly for short range in behind passes, but this is the first time they've sent it long in behind. It was effective, shot not on goal, but a dangerous one.
Acá balón dividido, pero cae el jugador de Sporting KC2 y falta a favor de Sporting KC. Estamos sobre 27 minutos, partido 1-0, un partido entretenido. Sporting KC después del gol se ha tratado de sacudir el dominio, ha atacado, y St. Louis también haciendo lo suyo en el contragolpe y creando peligro con Celio, con Kusein, con Díaz, y las cosas se ven bien hasta ahora para St. Louis City2. Viene saliendo con Kyle Heaver para Watts juega hacia atrás con Heaver se la devuelve a Michael Creek la controla en el área, tiene que rechazarla, saca un saque largo, la cabecea Sporting KC, parecía que había una mano, pero dice el árbitro que sigan jugando. Balón para Sporting KC, Davis juega hacia atrás con Lenis la pierde, la recupera Víctor Díaz, lo agarraba de la camiseta Lenis, pero Víctor Díaz y jugaba un pase para Ostrak, pero rechaza Sporting KC, parece que pegó en Ostrak y se va al saque de banda. Celio acá reclamándole a la juez central que lo agarraban de la camiseta, pero no pasó nada.
Both teams looking to get quick on the turnovers and hit in on the counter. And we've seen twice now, Kuzain got his first yellow card by pulling a jersey from behind. That one was a little more worth it. This was a small one on Celio to kind of slow him down. Lennis doing a bit of a veteran move by pulling the jersey just enough to slow him down. It worked. And so we'll see if that keeps going. A little more chippy as the game goes on. You can tell they were a little upset about it.
Balón para Sporting KC, juegan hacia atrás con Rad. Rad juega hacia atrás con Isley. Isley juega hacia atrás otra vez con Rad. Balón en 3/4 de cancha. Viene Víctor Díaz a presionar. Sporting KC la tocan de lado a lado, hacia el centro del campo, hacia atrás, cambio de frente, pero se equivocaba y no la pudo controlar Juan Hussein y se va al saque de banda a favor de Sporting KC2.
So if you look at the bottom third of the stats as far as how many passes the team makes and how accurate they are in those passes, Sporting Kansas City's toward the top of the bottom third, and St. Louis is darn near the bottom. And so neither of these teams really want the ball. And so we're seeing a little bit of, trying to get the other team to attack in so you can send it long. And really, it's just kind of, these teams are really testing each other to see who can catch the other one out, more so than possessing the ball to try to find some space and some attacking key passes and things like that.
Bueno, acá la controlaba City2 y balón se va al saque de banda a favor de City2. Seguimos mirando los resultados alrededor de la liga. Houston y North Texas 0-0, minuto 26. Y el partido que más nos interesa, que es el de Tacoma y Portland Timbers 2, sigue 0-0. Así que por ahora St. Louis City 2 aseguraría el primer lugar de la conferencia y ventaja de local. Viene Celio, se acerca al área. Celio buscaba a Miguel Pérez, pero se anticipó muy bien el jugador de Sporting KC. Ahora Sporting KC en la salida con Lennis, juega hacia atrás con Rad. Viene Rad saliendo, la transporta. Juega con TJ. Balón para Lennis. Tiene que apresurarse Josh Yaro para el cabezazo, la controla, jugaba con Hibbert, y acá viene St. Louis, buena salida, buena combinación, viene Ostrak, juega con Díaz, la transporta por el medio campo, 3/4 de cancha, no la abrió a la derecha, se la devolvió a Max Snyder ahora buscando a Celio la para de pechito y está al borde del área por el lado izquierdo. Vamos a ver qué hace Celio, saca un centro muy largo y no había nadie, y acá balón se va al saque de banda a favor de Sporting KC2.
We can say that this is a definite pattern of play at this point. We are seeing every time St. Louis starts possessing the ball in the final third, we see Celio go out wide. He's the striker. He's going out wide. We see Ostrak central, just outside the top of the box. Diaz looking to get a goal, and Kuzain looking for the ball on the far side. So this is something we can watch, a pattern of play that's been happening over and over. To some success, it's gotten some corners, which led to a goal. But can we score a goal on that?
Bueno, viene saliendo Sporting KC2 con Lennis, juega con TJ Fata, balón hacia atrás, juega con Rad juega hacia el medio campo, balón para Jay Davis, que todos los balones pasan por ahí, es uno de los jugadores de experiencia de este equipo, y acá hay una falta a favor de Sporting de St. Louis City.
Now, St. Louis City is a good pressing team, but there is something about the academy players that come up. They press a little harder and a little crazier, and they have not figured out whether that makes them better or whether the calm pressing is better from the veteran moves. But that's something I kind of debate in my own head as I watch them. But Miguel Perez has been buzzing around this field. It's been fun to watch.
Pelota quieta acá para St. Louis. Kyle Hibbert al frente. Se acerca Miguel Pérez. Pérez se la devuelve a Kyle Hibbert. Juega con Watts. Watts juega hacia atrás con Hibbert. Hibbert hace una mague. Juega para Díaz. Díaz jugaba con Pérez. La recupera Sporting KC2. Y ahora la recupera Kyle Hibbert. Hibbert la protege y pega en TJ Fata. El balón al saque de banda a favor de St. Louis City 2.
Again, we see the center backs pushing high, getting close to that center line. We saw Hebert in possession, and Hebert made a senior. We surprised us all a little bit, though we know he deserves it, that he had a senior signing to the MLS squad. So we saw him in space with time, able to pick out a pass. Now, it wasn't a pretty one, but it was a forward pass that did delete a few defenders.
Un balón largo para Kuzain. Kuzain se acerca a la última línea. No la dejó salir, pero no había nadie que lo apoyara ahí en el área y la recupera Sporting KC2. Balón para Bakayoko, finalmente rechazado un jugador de St. Louis, balón por la izquierda, pegan un jugador de St. Louis, se va al saque de banda a favor de Sporting KC2. Seguimos 1-0, ya estamos sobre 33 minutos. y un partido entretenido. St. Louis hasta ahora obteniendo el resultado que necesitaba, y también en los otros partidos se está dando el resultado que St. Louis City2 necesita. Phil, Tacoma and Timbers 2 are still 0-0. Do you think Timbers 2 is gonna be able to help City2?
I don't know. I really do have my doubts. Part of what the highlights I watched was Tacoma just disassembled and scored in Kansas City too. It was a 4-5-0 or 5-1 victory, I believe. And they have just so much attacking talent. The guys just hardly have to think about moving the ball around in the final third. So, Timbers, the thing they're good at is defending. They sit back. They're able to counter. They might be able to grab a goal, and if they do, that's their best chance, in my opinion. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Still a lot of soccer to be played. For now, let's get back to St. Louis City 2. Akil Watts con el saque de banda. Estamos sobre 34 minutos ya. Seguimos 1-0. Juega con Celio. Celio de primera buscaba a Díaz. La rechaza Sporting KC. Buscando a Bakayoko. Balón hacia atrás para Clark. Clark viene saliendo por la izquierda. Juega hacia atrás para Isles. Juega de lado a lado Sporting KC2. Y viene Jay Davis a pedirla, pero finalmente balón hacia la derecha para Lenis. Lenis dejaba a Ostrak atrás, pero Ostrak le hizo una zancadilla y falta a favor de Sporting KC2.
Just the inevitability of the Sporting Kansas City player getting caught on the sideline in a bad spot in Ostrak, just laying him out there. It did cause a penalty, unfortunately. I think the guys are starting to get to Sporting Kansas City a little bit, but we are, especially on this left side, we're seeing Clark find some success against Kuzane, kind of catching him, biting a little too hard on the press. So that's been fun to watch. Clark, nice switch here to the right side as well.
Hacia la derecha, cambio de frente y centro al área. Le queda a Sporting KC, remate al arco y se va muy cerca al palo izquierdo de Michael Crick. Buena aproximación de Sporting KC, pero el balón se fue un poco desviado y seguimos 1-0 a favor de City2.
I always think about that game that we lost, I think, or tied with Minnesota United, where they would just make an early cross switch. Big switch. Now we just saw 2 from Sporting Kansas City. It's still successful against City. It's been successful throughout the game. It's been getting better and better. That is by far their best chance of the game. It was a really nice play from Sporting Kansas City.
Viene saliendo City2, la pasada Miguel Pérez, pero rechaza Brad y se va al saque de banda a favor de City2. Viene Akil Watts, le hacía señas Ostrak que jugara con Heber, pero finalmente no lo hace. Juega con Díaz. Díaz se le da a Watts. Watts por la línea buscando a Celio, que buscaba a Díaz. Pase largo de Miguel Pérez para Díaz, pero la protege el jugador de Sporting KC y se va al saque de meta. Viene el arquero Carlitos Ceylon. Va a hacer el despeje. Finalmente juega corto con Brad. Brad juega hacia la izquierda con Isley. La tocan entre los tres. Díaz haciendo sombra. También Celio. Pase largo buscando a Fata. Y finalmente la recupera Akil Watts. Juega hacia atrás con Michael Crick. Michael Crick la controla. Juega con Josh Jarro. Josh Jarro en la salida. Jugando con Ben Di Rosa. Buscando a Vitor Díaz. Díaz lo marcan 2. Finalmente hace un pase a Juan Kusen. Kusen por la banda. Deja 2 jugadores atrás, pero se le fue un poco larga y la recupera Sporting KC2. Acá había una sucesión de barridas y de faltas y finalmente hay una falta a favor de St. Louis City 2. Falta de Bakary Bakayoko y se lleva la tarjeta amarilla.
We see a heavy tackle from Schneider in the midfield. That's what we like to see. And then Bakayoko had a nice little answer for that, didn't he, right after?
Yeah, and he gets a yellow card, and then St. Louis will get the foul. So probably not set piece. They'll probably just play in the midfield, but let's see what St. Louis does with this ball.
Another surprising stat that I found this week was Sporting Kansas City, the least fouling team in the league. That was very surprising. That 1-0 win that we had with the red card did get a
Yellow
little
card
chippy, but
caution
they're able to
has been
control
issued
themselves.
to Sporting Kansas City 2's number
Nice or bad,
66.
depends on what you want to get. Nice or bad.
Yoko
Right.
in the 38th minute.
Bueno, balón acá para Kyle Hibbert. Kyle Hibbert en la salida por el medio campo busca a Celio. Celio se le devuelve atrás a Max Snyder. Se le muestra a Bendy Rosa por la derecha. Snyder busca a Bendy Rosa. Bendy Rosa la para, da la vuelta. Bendy Rosa juega hacia atrás con Snyder. Snyder trata de sacar un centro, pega en un jugador de Sporting KC y finalmente le queda a Sporting KC. Bakayoko, lo marcan 3, lo presionaban ahí y dice la señora juez que hay una falta a favor de Sporting KC 2. 39 minutos, partido sigue 1-0. Viene Isley cobra, juega con Colin Fernández, jugador conocido acá de la afición de St. Louis, pasó por St. Louis FC, no tuvo muchos minutos después de un par de partidos, pero muy buen jugador y acá es uno de los líderes de este equipo joven de Sporting KC 2. Balón para Hussein, que prendió la moto, caía y dice el árbitro que hay falta a favor de St. Louis City 2. I like how Hussein sometimes takes off and just dominates, and he had to be stopped by a foul.
Yeah, I thought that might be a yellow card. It's a borderline one. The fouls are starting to line up, but we are seeing the referee letting the guys play. I enjoy that, actually. I'm glad. But something that Josh Yarrow was complimenting Kuzane on was, when they look at the GPS numbers, he's one of the ones with most ground covered. And I think we're seeing a lot of that here. If he gets the ball and he sees an opportunity, he goes for it. A couple times he's been fouled on the run like that.
Bueno, jugada de pelota quieta, tenemos a Kill Watts frente al balón. Vamos a ver si hay una jugada preparada o si viene un centro al área. Está Kill Watts, está un poco al lado Miguel Pérez. Le dicen que juegue, balón al segundo palo, se levanta Joe Yaro y dicen que hay un fuera del lugar de Joe Yaro. Se levantaba, controló el remate Ceylon, pero ya había levantado el asistente la bandera y nos perdimos acá del segundo. Pero buena jugada preparada de St. Louis, pero cogieron a Yaro un poquito adelantado.
Santiago, do you think the first shot, was it onside? It looked like it was.
Well,
It's hard to say from this angle. Okay.
yeah, it's hard to tell from here, but I think it was offside for that shot. I think it was Yaro's offside.
Well, it was a wide open pass to him, and I noticed all the center backs up. We only had Schneider and Watts on to protect against the counter. So St. Louis really going for it in this late part of the first half.
Amazing, thank you.
Yeah, but he looked there alone by himself. And,
so was it on purpose? Is the question? Did they leave him there offside on
I
purpose?
think so. I think they.
We'll give them the credit.
Yeah,
it's good defending him, so it really is.
I agree. Viene Ostrak juega hacia atrás con Watts. Watts la abre para Snyder, que se da un lujo, juega con Miguel Pérez. Pérez tiene espacio, juega para Hussein. Hussein tiene espacio y la pasaba por encima del arquero, pero controla la defensa de Sporting KC y se va al tiro de esquina. What a pass from Miguel Pérez.
It was really nice to see. I didn't realize that was Perez. I'm glad you saw that one. They've seen a lot of success in little flick-ons like that, but that was by far the prettiest we've seen from the academy player. That's really lovely to see.
Entonces viene el tiro de esquina, está aquí Watts a la derecha. St. Louis ya marcó su primer gol con un tiro de esquina desde este lado derecho. Vamos a ver aquí Watts qué va a hacer. Está Max Snyder muy cerca al arquero. Vamos a ver si va cerca al palo o si va cerca al arquero o si la abren un poco. Viene aquí Watts, balón al segundo palo, se levanta la defensa, le queda a Celio que saca un remate, rebotan en un jugador de Sporting KC y cuando Celio iba a recuperarla, dice el árbitro que hay falta de Celio y balón para Sporting KC. No le gustó al público, pero el árbitro tiene la última palabra y balón para Sporting KC.
All the corners have been very dangerous. I think perhaps Sporting KC is getting a little bit nervous on all of them because St. Louis has been finding open players in different situations. So a little mixing up there in the final third on the corners. It seems to be going St. Louis's way. Maybe it will lead.
Cobra Ceylon. Se levanta Max Snyder, le queda Pérez. Pérez juega con Ostrak. Ostrak lo presiona Davis. Ostrak finalmente juega hacia atrás para Creek, pero el balón se va un poco largo y tiene Creek que reponer para que el balón no se vaya al tiro de esquina. A little scary there.
A little scary, yeah. It was quite the heavy pass from Ostrak that was curving toward the far side of goal. Looks like Creek had to put on the Jets. That's not something a goalkeeper often does, and I'm sure they don't like to do it either, but he took care of things there.
Yeah, that was a little scary, but glad Creek was able to correct. Bueno, ahora balón para St. Louis City2. Juega Yaro jugando con Heaver juega con Watts saca un balón largo, se levanta Cave Rat, la rechaza, le queda a Lennis juega con Rat otra vez, la rechaza, se levanta Kyle Heaver y se la deja a Snyder buscaba a Pérez, pero finalmente controla de nuevo Sporting KC. Inmediatamente St. Louis presionando y fruto de eso hay una falta a favor de Sporting KC 2. 45 minutos ya, vamos a ver cuántos van a reponer, pero parece que esta primera mitad se va a ir 1-0. There haven't been a lot of interruptions, so probably a couple of minutes.
Yeah, maybe just one, to be honest. It's been a pretty clean game, not a lot of time wasted with players going down. And of course, we have that. What is it? How long do they have before they have to go to the sideline? Is it 30 seconds? 40 seconds?
Yeah.
It's a nice rule that MLS Next PRO decided to use this year, and it seems to have worked really well. Maybe something MLS should consider.
Yeah, this league is supposed to be a testing league for MLS, so it'll be interesting to see if some of these things are implemented by MLS. Viene saliendo St. Louis, Joe Jara juega con Hibbert.
The court official has indicated a minimum
Un minuto de
of 1
reposición y
minute at a
acá
time
buen
to the
pase
first
de
half.
Miguel Pérez, juega con Ostrak por la izquierda, hace el cambio de dirección, Ostrak tiene espacio, saca un remate al arco y se va rozando el palo, se estiraba el arquero Ceylon, pero se alcanzó a ir al saque de meta, no la tocó, pero buena aproximación de Thomas Ostrak.
Ostrak might be trying to steal away Celio's key dribbles stat because he's been really going at it today. This time finding space enough to shoot with his weak foot, not the best of shots, but he has been getting himself into open space and causing trouble for the as you can see that one.
Viene Sporting KC, saque de meta. Saltaban, se va el balón otra vez al saque de banda, viene Davis, sabe que le queda menos de un minuto. Saque de banda para Sporting KC, presiona a St. Louis, Max Snyder y la rechaza al saque de banda. Vuelve Sporting KC, balón para Bakayoko y finalmente rechaza St. Louis, otra oportunidad para Sporting KC. Ya estamos sobre el final del primer tiempo y la señora juez dice que este es el final del primer tiempo y nos vamos con St. Louis City2 ganando 1-0, obteniendo el resultado que necesita. What did you see on this first half, Leo?
First half, I think, I feel good about what St. Louis City was doing, and having the one goal feels very good. But as we watched Ostrak shoot that ball, pass that ball almost into his own goal, it would be a totally different game if we were going into the second half with a 1-1 draw. Them having the motivation there at the end. So I'm really glad that it's still 1-0, but I think that was maybe a wake-up call for City. You got to get another goal in this next half. I think for Sporting Kansas City, keep on pressing. The top three are pushing our back line. They are sending in balls in behind. The switches have been successful, as we said. So if they keep that game plan going, they could definitely play spoilers today. They could definitely steal a draw or get a win.
Yeah, Sporting KC, even though they don't need a result, this is the end of the season for them. They're playing tough. They know this is like one of those games that no matter who is at the top of the table or at the bottom of the table, they're always going to play hard against St. Louis. This is a preview of that rivalry that we will see next year between St. Louis CDSC and Sporting KC.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there was no extra time, so there wasn't time wasting. There was 1 minute. And so I think that also shows that, Sporting Kansas City is up for it. They want to steal this game. They want to spoil it for their rivals, and it's been a good game. It hasn't been a waste of any kind. Everyone wants to come out of this one with 3 points. Let's see how they do in the second half.
Yeah, so far, if the season ended right now, Phil, St. Louis would be at the top of the table because Tacoma and Portland Timbers too still scoreless towards the end of the first half.
Yeah, we're talking about what Sporting Kansas City can do, right? I think if you're Portland Timbers in this game, you're very happy that you're going into the half and it's 0-0. That's kind of the game plan you want. It's not really unlike the senior team in that regard. So we'll see how they can do. And we're also looking at Houston and North Texas, also tied at 0-0. If we win today, that doesn't matter. But there are many scenarios where if we don't win, that could become a problem.
Yeah, for sure. But St. Louis doing what it needs to do, and if things go their way, they will finish first in the conference. But for now, St. Louis has to worry about Sporting KC, and if the other results come their way, great. But at least secure that first playoff game at home and see what happens. Phil, what have you liked from St. Louis City 2 so far?
Honestly, it's been the attacking in the final third. We're seeing the same thing that they typically do. If someone gets the ball, they pick their head up, look downfield, and try to get that ball to someone forward immediately. And so, the pressing has been nice. It really doesn't matter where the ball is. They're looking to get that ball forward, often on the ground if possible. I think one of my favorite things about this is Sporting Kansas City also has one of the best records.
Events before the second half starts. Get the latest City2 roster, player bios, schedule, and more. All on the official St. Louis City app. Download it now at STLCitySC.com/app. All the City Red and secondary press gear you want is right here. Stop by the City merch tent to pick up the latest St. Louis City SC shirts, scarves, and more while supplies
Get the
last.
ball past the midfielder on the ground, and often
Purina creates richer lives for pets and people who love them. And it's proudly called St. Louis home since 1894. Purina is the original founding partner of St. Louis City SC. And we're working together to make our community stronger
really like
now
that
and
Thomas
into the future.
Osred has
Purina,
in this
your pet,
game,
our
has
passion.
been very successful on that.
Santee is proud to bring MLS soccer to the St. Louis region. Together, we are committed to transforming the health of our community, one person at a time.
Yeah, he's the only.
As the official banking and financial literacy partner of St. Louis City Soccer Clubs, Together Credit Union is here to help players, families, and our community to achieve their goals. Get started today at togethercu.org.
He has been able to
The Together Credit Union and St. Louis City SC debit card is your chance to unlock exclusive offers, one-of-a-kind gifts, and unforgettable experiences. Look for the official debit card of City Fans on September 20th and learn more at togethercu.org.
To play with the team and play as a team.
What's up, soccer fans? Body Armor is proud
shout,
to be the official sports drink of St. Louis City SC.
And part of it is
With
these new
potassium-packed electrolytes, antioxidants, and no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Body Armor sports drink is next level hydration all game long.
To be fair,
Get Body Armor at your local
wherever he
shows.
wants in that field. Looking to be a problem solver. That's
Hey
something that I
guys, if
feel
you're
like
looking
Phil
for
Watts
tickets
has
to
been
live
really good at this
events,
season.
look no
And
further
left
than
back is not
SeatGeek,
able to
the
really
official
express
ticketing
himself
partner
well
of
in
St.
this
Louis
game.
City
But we
SC.
have seen
Download
Ostrad
the
doing the same
SeatGeek app
thing.
today.
Looking
SeatGeek, your
for
ticket to great
openings, looking
seats.
for space, dribbling in, looking for mistakes of any kind.
Michelob
He's able to move
Ultra
around.
is
He's
a
that
proud
playmaker that
sponsor
Matt
of
Baker
St. Louis
wants, and
City
he wanted
Soccer Club.
Matt Baker wants him in the
Michelob
middle so he
Ultra,
can be more
it's fully
effective
worth
and
it
more
if
influential
you
in the
enjoy
game,
it.
and I think we're seeing that in this game. I think Matt Baker is going to be extremely happy with how this game is going.
Bueno, acá hablábamos con
From
Phil
the
un poco
playground to the
de lo
pitch
que
and
hemos
all
visto
points in
de St.
between,
Louis City 2.
BJC
Hablábamos
Healthcare
de
is
Thomas
committed to
Osred, que ha
keeping
sido
you in the
muy
game.
peligroso el día de hoy,
Dedicated to
haciendo la
health, well-being,
diferencia
and equal
por el lado
opportunity for
izquierdo,
everyone to live their best
como
lives.
se ha compenetrado
BJC is here
con
for
los
the
demás
journey.
jugadores
A
de
proud sponsor of St. Louis
City 2,
City
cómo
SC.
trabaja,
BJC,
juega
the world's
con
best
Serio,
medicine
con
made
Hussein,
better.
con Díaz y y es uno de los jugadores
From
llamados
back
el
pain to
protagonista
broken
porque
toes and
es uno de
everything
los
in
jugadores ya
between,
firmados para
Washington
el
University
equipo del
Orthopedics
otro
has you
año y
covered.
demostrando
Count
que
on
a
Washington
pesar de que
Orthopedics for the
es
very
un
best
nivel
orthopedic
inferior,
care,
él
proudly serving
está
as key
jugando
physicians for St. Louis City
en su
Soccer
mejor
Club.
forma y ha sido muy peligroso el día de hoy. Muy
Blue News
seguramente
is
va
proud to be
a
the
estar
official
en
automotive
los
partner of St.
playoffs
Louis City
jugando
SC,
para
and
St.
we
Louis
have the
City
winning stats.
2.
17
Phil,
brands,
if
13
next week
dealerships,
we
shop
have to
over
play a playoff
1,600
game,
new and pre-owned
will you go
vehicles.
with this
For the best
lineup
car
or what
buying
would you
experience
say?
in St. Louis.
Really good question. I think,
Huge.com.
Roman Berkey is someone that I would love to see, of course, because, of
Fans,
course, he's got
since
the
day
skills to
one,
make
we've
a
said
lot of
this club
amazing
is about
saves.
more than
His
just
distribution
soccer,
is just
but we
incredible
couldn't
to
do
the
it
point
without
where
great community
City,
partners
if we get
like
pressed,
Special Olympics
Bordeaux has
Missouri,
done a good job.
Missouri School for the Blind,
UC Sands just
Annie
walking it
Malone
forward,
Children
which
and
is
Family
great.
Services,
Berkey
and League
takes you to
Latina.
that next level where
From
he
all
doesn't
of
just
us
love
at
it
St.
forward,
Louis City,
he picks a guy
thank
up
you.
and nails him straight in the chest, and that is just something that is just so helpful when you're trying to unlock a defense. And so that's been something that would be something I like to see. But otherwise, I trust these guys. I think it's not ideal that we're playing in a 4-4-2, even though it's been really interesting the way they've set it up and been fun to watch tactically. But I would just love to see Darling or Klaus in the playoff game if possible. Of course, we haven't really talked about Darling getting a 3-game suspension was handed down by the league. I think Hackworth wasn't too pleased with that and maybe didn't agree with that, but here it is nonetheless. So Darling's out in that first game. Klaus is dealing with an injury, a knock, a soft tissue injury. So I'd love to see him in that game. But that would be just if I got to choose what I wanted in every respect. Otherwise, I'm very happy with what's happened today, and I have there's no one I'd like to kick out of the starting 11, I'd say.
Yeah, I like this lineup, and yeah, considering Darling will be not available for next game because he had a 3-game suspension. Yeah, maybe see what Dita or Caden Clover can give. Maybe we'll see what they can give you on the second half today to see if maybe they show something different. But I really like what the team has done so far. And you were talking about Roman Berkey. And yes, I would like that, but I think that's going to be a very difficult decision for John Hackworth because he keeps saying, like, yeah, this team has different goals. Like, yeah, winning is one, but at the same time, you have to develop the guys who want to get to the next level, put them in situations where they're going to get pressure. And what would be the playoffs is where you get the most pressure. So do you go with one of the goalkeepers that you're trying to develop, or do you go with the experienced guy that can give you a plus?
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think we're going to see Roman Berkey in the playoffs. I don't think so. But I think Klaus is a possibility, and I think Darling is the second piece off that suspension. Let's hope we get past that first game of the playoffs and we see Darling the rest of the way.
Yeah, but good things from St. Louis City2 today. Still halftime for Tacoma and Portland 0-0. Looking at the North Texas and Houston game, also scoreless at halftime. So if the season were to end right now, St. Louis would be in first place. What I don't know is who would be on second. Let me see. I think they have the live standings here.
While you look that up, Santiago, the other thing that I heard Luke's talking about pre-game was how Columbus was a 9-0 drubbing against Cincinnati, who I didn't realize at the time is not. They're eliminated from the playoffs, so they didn't have anything to play for. 9-0 victory for Columbus. I think from what I heard that Columbus has home advantage in the final if they were to go on.
Yeah.
And if we were to win today, St. Louis, and for Columbus was out of the playoffs in any form or fashion, then St. Louis would have home advantage. There are so many different variables that we'll be talking about through the week, but that's just one example.
Hey, can you imagine, so Columbus having the home field, can you imagine a final in Columbus between Columbus Crew 2 and St. Louis City 2 with that ingredient of having Patrick Schulte on goal?
First of all, I hope he would start. He did not start today in that 9-0 victory, but he did say in the interview the other day that they are going to be switching off, so it's possible, and perhaps they would think about that St. Louis connection and play him. I guess maybe we'd be a little scared if it goes penalties because he's proven
Oh,
that he can save penalties in a high situation, a nervous situation.
I haven't heard the interview yet, but did you guys talk about penalties at all?
Yeah, we talked about the Open Cup and how he saved those three, and we kind of asked about is there any plan? Does he study the opponent? And he mostly just kind of sizes them up, picks his side, and what happens. And he did really well in that game. So 3 penalties, getting St. Louis FC to move on to the next round of the Open Cup against a team that does really well. Des Moines Menace historically does well in the Open Cup. That's not an easy team to go up against when you're a young academy goalkeeper with that much responsibility. But he rose to the occasion. He did such a good job. Something that's kind of gone down in the history of St. Louis.
Yeah, he has a great future ahead of him. It's too bad that St. Louis wasn't just a timing thing that he was drafted last year. St. Louis couldn't get a hold of him, and we have talked about it before. He has that generation contract that Adidas generation contract, so it will be hard for St. Louis to get him even if they wanted to.
Yeah, I think I kept pressing him about whether or not, I don't know the rules, whether or not he could be in that expansion draft in any way. It's possible, I think. But I think I've been cueing him to maybe check with his agent on that possibility. He was playing it cool, though. He's happy where he is. He's doing well. He has a good path to the top level in the United States. So he's gonna stay on that path unless something happens.
Yeah, and hopefully he will get some opportunities with the first team. But yeah, even with that generation Adidas contract, usually teams put the player gets trapped in these situations, play with the second team, and maybe next year he will get some opportunities.
And now, please welcome back the teams for the second half. Sporting KC2. Then your St. Louis City 2!
We saw today, I watched that Columbus senior game, and they had the lead, 1-0 lead, and I think they said for the 6th game in a row, Columbus gave up the lead at the end of that game. I don't know, Eli Room was a really good story, the first team goalkeeper, but if Porter is out for any reason, if they lose faith in him, that's an opportunity for someone like Patrick Schulte, who's been able to capitalize on Columbus Crew 2's other goalkeeper getting injured for about 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and Columbus. Speaking of Columbus, last few weeks they have tied so many games, and that tie they got today is gonna make things really interesting. That because Atlanta, Miami, there are a lot of teams fighting for that 7th place, and with Columbus tie, he kind of gave some opportunities to these other teams to stay alive.
Yeah, I can tell you the Columbus fans were not happy at the end of that game. You could see that Caleb Porter was frustrated with the situation. Well, it's just hard to watch a coach in those situations where they just, it was a weird bounce and the goal came after it, and you feel like it's not your fault, but yet it keeps happening. So what do you do?
Yeah, and Columbus, when Coach Hernandez came a few months ago, they started playing better and winning games and got back into contention. But the ties in the last 2 weeks, they have 4 or 5 in the last 5 to 6 weeks, still in 7th place. But that's gonna make things interesting for the next couple of weeks.
And speaking of draws, that's something we want to avoid here in St. Louis City at Rockport Stadium. The guys are lining up again, and my hope is that they get another goal because, like you said, we've got a lot of academy players who can come in. You get another goal, you feel maybe confident enough to let these academy players come in and express themselves. They've done well in recent past coming in at the end of the game.
Bueno, ya estamos acá listos para el segundo tiempo. St. Louis es el que tiene la pelota y acá le hacen una falta a Víctor Díaz. Cobra rápidamente St. Louis con Miguel Pérez, balón para Di Rosa. Di Rosa juega con Michael Crick rechaza, se levanta Bakayoko, finalmente la recupera St. Louis. Viene St. Louis con Hussein buscando a Víctor Díaz, pero finalmente la rechaza Sporting KC. Viene Sporting KC con el balón, Colin Fernández. Viene Sporting KC saliendo, juega con Salifo, finalmente la recupera Miguel Pérez. Se la pasaba a Hussein, pero se le fue un poco largo ese balón. balón al saque de banda a favor de Sporting KC en la salida con Isli juega hacia atrás con Ceylon tocándola con la defensa, va de lado a lado y viene St. Louis a presionar. Ahora balón para el número 32, creo que es es Clark, y acá rechaza St. Louis. Balón para Rosa, juega con Max Snyder, se barre Colin Fernández y balón al saque de banda.
There we see it again, St. Louis City looking for that trigger. The ball got fed to the fullback on the sideline, and you saw the entire team pushing up high. Josh Yarrow, Sporting Kansas City got out of that press by sending it forward. Josh Yarrow was well ahead of the attackers and was able to head it forward, and eventually there was a foul on the sideline now with free kick. Akil Watts, good opportunity here to get another goal on the free kick.
Viene Akil Watts, vamos a ver qué jugada tiene preparada. C2 está Víctor Díaz ahí solo en el primer palo. Finalmente va hacia el centro, rechaza Sporting KC, cabezazo que le queda a Víctor Díaz, se perfila, tiene espacio, remata, pega en un jugador Sporting KC y el balón no se va a la última línea y viene Sporting KC en la salida, presiona rápidamente St. Louis y se va al saque de banda. Good opportunity from Víctor Díaz there.
Yes, he was kind of hanging out and none of the defenders were kind of watching him and the ball fell to him. He made some moves, took a shot with his weak foot, but it looked like it was on goal before it got blocked. Very nice work.
Bien, Sporting KC con el balón y parece que se viene un cambio. Hay alguien que estaba calentando que ya parece que viene a reportarse. Rechazo largo de Sporting KC. Saque banda rápidamente de St. Louis City. Juega Josh Yarrow con Bieber, presionaba a Davis, juega otra vez con Yarrow, ya algunas indicaciones, juega hacia atrás para Creek, buscando a Díaz se levanta, pero finalmente la cabecea por el KC2, le quedaba a Bakayoko, juega con Salifu, juega con Davis, balón para Davis, parecía que había una mano, y sí, el árbitro que hay mano de Thomas Ostrak y acá habrá una oportunidad en pelota quieta para Sporting KC.
And we saw a little bit of Sporting Kansas City using some of their triggers. We saw Yarrow a little bit toward the sideline and 3 Sporting Kansas City attackers looking to press 2 City defenders. They got it back to Creek, who was able to send it forward. And we were talking about the players we might like to see. It would have been nice if he was lumping it to Klaus over there or even Dahlin.
Yeah, but not here today, so the team has to work with what it has. And here is Sporting KC, viene Sporting KC2, pelota quieta, Josh Good al arco y muy bien Michael Creek seguro en el remate y la controla. Buen remate de Good, pero muy cerca de las manos de Michael Creek y sin peligro la controla. Saca Michael Creek jugando con Guy Bieber la transporta. Finalmente saca un pase largo buscando a Celio. Parecía que iba a ganar la espalda, pero finalmente corrige el defensor de Sporting KC. Le queda a Díaz. Juega para Kusein. Kusein tiene espacio por la derecha. Entra de Rosa, saca el marque. Un remate y se va muy pegadito al palo. Buena combinación entre Kusein y Rosa. Se la abre por la derecha y remate de Rosa se va desviado. That was a close one, Phil.
I love seeing what they do there. Sometimes you think a pressing team doesn't have a player picked out. Creek sent it forward, and St. Louis is able to get the ball and pass it around a couple times. Kazan gets the ball in the middle where Ostrak's been hanging out, actually. So it was nice to see him do that, play that role. And he just held the ball up because he knew DeRosa was on the run, just going to come, and he sent it to DeRosa. DeRosa, wide open chance, really good chance there, a little off goal, but very nice chance here early in the second half.
Bueno, acá se ha aproximado otra vez St. Louis City 2, rechazo al tiro de esquina a favor de St. Louis. Balón por el lado izquierdo. Viene Víctor Díaz al cobro. Díaz al primer palo, un poco abierto, le queda el bote a St. Louis, pero rechaza rápidamente por KC, le queda a Hibbert, salía al arquero, el arquero Ceylon y aleja el peligro. It looked like a Heber, like a center forward there.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought he was doing a Schneider impression, I think, there, which is, St. Louis, I think I said earlier, has 10 goals outside the 18. So Schneider, Kilo Watts, now I think Hebert's looking for a brace today, huh?
Yeah. One goal and then another chance created, doing really well today.
Absolutely.
All right, St. Louis now with another set piece opportunity. Viene St. Louis, balón con pelota quieta. Está Víctor Díaz al frente del balón. Saca un pase largo, buscando a Celio. Celio deja a 2 hombres atrás. Parecía que caía, se le pone, pero finalmente la rechaza Sporting KC. Tiene que salir Michael de su arco, sale hasta la mitad de cancha, juega con Yaro, con aquí Watts. Watts jugaba con Celio, pues se la devuelve a Watts.
We saw Creek push all the way up to the halfway line because the ball kind of fell to no one in the middle there. And Patrick Schulte was saying how Columbus Crew 2, the coach, really likes a high line. He likes the goalkeeper to get well out of goal. I think those are all things that are challenging Patrick. We saw Creek doing the same thing. And I said to Patrick, that sounds an awful lot like you can transfer all of these traits to St. Louis City. So trying to bring that full circle there.
Still trying to do some recruiting for CDSC. I like that.
I told him it was my hopes and dreams that I was trying to work on, not his.
All right. Viene St. Louis City. Le hacen una falta a Max Snyder. Balón sobre 3/4 de cancha. Y hay una oportunidad de pelota quieta para St. Louis. Cobra rápidamente. Balón hacia la derecha para Idosa. Idosa cambia de dirección, la vuelve hacia atrás para Yaro. Yaro juega con Hebert. Hebert con Celio. Celio se la vuelve a Hebert. Ahora con Akil Watts. Mucha gente Sporting KC presionando. Cambio al otro lado, un cambio de frente para Bendy Rosa. Rosa juega con Snyder. Snyder la abre para Juan Hussein, que entra en el área por el lado derecho. Juan Hussein saca un centro muy pasito y sale el arquero Ceylon y la controla. Buena aproximación, buena combinación entre Snyder y Hussein, pero Hussein llegó muy preciso y no pudo sacar un buen centro.
That's multiple times today we've seen Hussein running at the back line, just waiting to the very last minute. My favorite pass in soccer is that cutback pass on the side, and it is so effective when someone's open. He just was waiting to get someone open, and it didn't happen in this case, but I love seeing those kind of goals happen. City will do it. Hussein especially likes to do that.
Bueno, acá hay una falta a favor de Sporting KC, no le gusta al público, Leo Yaro buscando la pelota, cobran el riesgo, pero dice el árbitro que jueguen con el pito y el balón vuelve al lugar original. Balón para Sporting KC.
We've seen a lot of players going around, a lot of slide tackles, people going down and calling fouls and stuff. So Lifa was a little upset when he kind of slid in behind one of our players, and so I'm wondering if Sporting Kansas City and even City might be wanting a few more calls. It's getting a little chippier. We'll see what we're doing.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. It's getting a little chippy, but the referee is letting these guys play. But yeah, at some point needs to start taking control of the game and not letting it get so chippy.
And we should say too that I don't know how the stream's working out for everybody. Hopefully ours has been fine. But they do have 4 cameras in this game. MLS Next PRO is the game of the week, so hopefully that's going well. We got our buddies over at KMOX doing the call for the radio right now. So this is a really big game, and maybe they brought this referee out. She's been doing a wonderful job. We often complain about the referees, and I think she's been really great.
Yeah, the best referees are the ones you never have to talk about. So
Exactly.
that's good. All right, so looking at the scores around the league, Houston is winning 1-0 against North Texas, so they will take that third position. And if things stay like this, Tacoma is still 0-0 against Timbers 2. St. Louis will have to play against North Texas, kind of a rematch from last week.
Yeah, we were talking about putting in academy players because we have the lead. Well, in that game, we were down 3-0. Hackwood put in the academy players. Dita got a goal back for us, but That's not what we want to repeat. Hopefully we learn from that if that ends up being the matchup.
Bueno, balón para Sporting KC. Juegan hacia atrás. Balón en la defensa. Juega Isley. Isley cambia de dirección. Juega otra vez con Brad. Brad lo presionaba Celio, que obtiene balón, rebota en Celio, pero se va a las manos de Ceylon. Ceylon juega con Isley. Juega otra vez hacia atrás. Viene Sporting KC2 tratando de salir. Brad hace un pase largo buscando a Salifu. La rechaza St. Louis. Le queda a Max Snyder. Rechazaba otra vez Sporting KC. Y acá hay una falta a favor de Sporting KC. Hay un jugador golpeado y llaman al preparador físico para que le dé atención. Seguimos 1-0, ya estamos sobre 57 minutos y St. Louis hasta ahora obteniendo la victoria que le da un partido de playoffs la próxima semana y se está dando el resultado que necesita también con Tacoma Defiance empatando con Portland Timbers.
I believe that's Kabe Rod that went down there, yeah. And I was noticing that they've done a good job. You know, one of the things the city could have taken advantage today was what Rod just did, which was hold the ball just barely too long. Got a weird bounce off of Celio. Could have been a turnover, a dangerous thing, but for the most part, he and Easley have had a good game. Good defending, and they haven't been getting caught out, even though City's putting the pressure on. So good job. They've worked together a lot, at least 10 games together. So good to see those somewhat young players. I think they're 22, 24. Good work.
Field, and I see Dida Armstrong getting ready to get on the field.
Who do we think he's going to go on for? Number 12?
Ostrak.
On for Ostrak.
Ostrak, and yeah, that still like 55 to 60 minutes. That's the prescribed time for Thomas Ostrak. So I don't know if we'll see him playing more than 60 minutes at some point.
Yeah, the trainers, they're holding to their program, and why not? We've got the depth, so why not put some players in? Dita has been really proving himself at the end of the game. It actually looks like Ostrak's got a bit of a limp. I think he's putting some today, so maybe it was Ostrak.
Bueno, y se va Thomas Ostrak. En realidad también viene al campo Selvin Pedro y se va. Se va uno de los extranjeros contratados este año, entra otro y piernas frescas para seguir con Pedro, que inmediatamente toma esa posición de lateral izquierdo, y Dida Armstrong ya lo vemos allá adelante.
Talk about depth. We have Zomir Pedro coming in as a sub in the 60th minute almost, and we see Akil walking into the midfield. I'm curious to see where Dita plays. I think he'll play as a 9, maybe a more natural 9 than we've seen from Celio and Diaz, and that might prove through maybe a goal through play here. And I imagine we'll see Celio go to the left wing.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like. You can see Dita at top with Diaz and then Celio. He went back a little bit, so yeah, we'll see how this develops.
Yeah, it was behind him. Diaz had an opportunity there to send it to Dita running in, so that was a possibility there. He just didn't see him. Hopefully we'll see more of that.
Viene St. Louis, pero la recupera Sporting KC. Bakayoko con el balón, lo presiona bien. Hussein bajando a recuperar. Juega con Yaro no se complica, juega con Liver. Bakayoko corre, haciendo la presión, haciendo lo que haría SKCII. Balón largo de Michael Crick. Viene el balón para Keith Watts, juega con Snyder y balón para la defensa de St. Louis.
He's doing a great job coming back and defending. Bakayoko did not enjoy it. He kind of went on a rager to kind of try to get the ball back there. You love to see the effort from both players.
Yeah, I was saying for a minute it looked like what St. Louis City2 will do when the other team gets the ball, like Bakayoko, like running and pressing. Viene St. Louis, balón para Dida Armstrong, pero la recupera Brad.
There's Dida Armstrong doing a Sporting Kansas City impression, running it behind the ball, long ball. There. It wasn't the worst opportunity there, so we're seeing Dida running behind. I think Diaz might perform as more of a 10 role for the first time in this game. A little more comfortable formation, but can we, pull off another goal? The academy player without either Klaus or Dahlin on top.
Yeah, and that would be a great boost of confidence for Dida if he scores a goal.
For the team, can we operate without Dahlin and Klaus? And I think, Dida has shown that he can score when no one else could in the last game, and let's see if he can do it again today.
Bueno, acá hay un balón de Hussein para Díaz, rechaza un jugador de Sporting KC y balón al tiro de esquina a favor de St. Louis City2. Viene el tiro de esquina, finalmente Díaz no lo va a cobrar, viene aquí Watts. Watts, que es el que cobra los tiros de esquina por el lado derecho. Viene aquí los defensas centrales buscando el cabezazo. Viene Watts. Aquí él hace una señal, saca, balón al primer palo, cabecea Sporting KC. Rápidamente y Rosa la recupera, juega con Watts buscando a Snyder, finalmente la recuperaba Sporting KC, le queda otra vez el rebote a Watts, lo marcan dos, finalmente recuperaba a Jay Davis, le quedaba a Clark que la rechaza y finalmente balón hacia atrás, le queda a Pirlo que la pierde, Pirlo la pierde y hay oportunidad acá para Sporting KC2, sale Creek, achica al arco, ¡gol! De Sporting KC2. Se equivocó Piro y el balón lo recuperó Sporting KC y nada pudo hacer Michael Creek para evitar el gol de DJ Plata. 1-1 se pone este partido y ahora St. Louis va a tener que salir a buscar el resultado.
We've got a total flip of the script here. We saw Dida trying to get in behind on a long ball, and here we have Sporting Kansas City 2. Selmir Pedro, one of the first teamers, getting caught out with the ball on the press with Sporting Kansas City. Really good hustle, good opportunity for Sporting Kansas City, and they did a great job to really send the attackers forward. Have a nice pass for a goal there at the end.
Bueno, y acá también se mueve el banco de Sporting KC, de hecho se va del campo Salifu, que fue el que recuperó ese balón que perdió Pedro, y entra el número 77, Joseph Murat. Bueno, 1-1 y St. Louis ahora va a tener que trabajar para hacer el segundo gol. Lo hablábamos que St. Louis necesitaba un segundo gol que le diera tranquilidad y pues se equivocó Pedro ahí y un balón una jugada en la que no había peligro pero se complicó y lo presionó bien Salifu y obtuvo lo que necesitaba Sporting KC2, partido 1-1 sobre 65 minutos.
So this is what we didn't want, right? This is the draw, and now St. Louis City needs a goal, and they got to figure out how to get that going with Dida on top, and perhaps Selmir can make up for his mistake with some magic, perhaps outside the box like he did one other time.
Yeah, and the result at Tacoma is still scoreless, so it's still going the way St. Louis City2 needs to go, but with this goal from Sporting KC, St. Louis will still get that first game at home, but it won't get home field advantage for the Western Conference. Rechazo de Sporting KC, se va de lado a lado y le queda el balón a St. Louis City2. Saque de banda. Saque de banda a favor de City2. Balón para Dida, juega con Yaro la rápidamente buscando a Hussein, pero se le adelantó el defensa de Sporting KC, la recuperó bien Clark y tuvo que hacer la falta Juan Hussein.
Louligans are in fine form tonight. The drums are loud. They're doing a great job. They're cheering them on pretty good. It's been nice to hear such a big crowd here today. Let's see if that helps spur the city on for another goal.
Yeah, so with these results, St. Louis will end in second place.
SKCII 2 goals scored by number 70,
Houston
TJ
winning,
Mata.
Houston will get third
The
place.
assist to number 61, Josh Cone, in the 63rd minute.
Tenía Sporting KC, pase para Clark. Clark juega con Bakayoko, de taquito busca a Kuhn, lo marcaban dos.
Substitution
Marcaban
for Sporting
Rosa
SKCII 2,
y Claro,
leaving the game number
y
42, Rob
porque hay
Salitu.
falta a favor de Sporting
Entering the
KC.
game number
Se le
77,
complicó la
Joseph
cosa
Nura,
a St.
in the
Louis
64th
2.
minute.
Hay mucho tiempo por jugar, pero parece que Sporting KC 2 quiere buscar el partido.
And now we see Bagayoko doing the flick on behind him. A really nice move there. Josh Cohn moving in from the midfield. Some nice combination play. Now they got a set piece opportunity.
Bueno, balón, pelota quieta para Sporting KC 2. Está Colin Fernández y me parece que es Kuhn. Colin Fernández, centro al segundo palo, se levantan varios hombres, rechaza a St. Louis, cabezazo de Víctor Díaz para alejarla más, pero sigue Sporting KC, balón al área, le quedaba el número 77, rechaza a St. Louis para alejar el peligro, estaba el número 77 en Miura, pero finalmente rechaza a St. Louis, vuelve a acercarse a Sporting KC, con Kuhn, centro, se levantaba Bakayoko y dice el árbitro que se va al saque de banda.
And that's several crosses in from Josh Cohn that have been really spot on. That is a very dangerous set piece for Sporting Kansas City. Again, that script has been fully flipped. St. Louis City is on the back foot, and Sporting is really starting to feel themselves. Have some really good opportunities to score. So we need to see if things can change back to City's favor, or whether Sporting Kansas City is going to make this even worse for them.
Bueno, por ahora viene St. Louis, balón para Díaz, cambia de dirección, deja a los hombres atrás, se para en ella, deja a los hombres atrás, al arco, la saca el arquero Ceylon, qué jugadota la de Víctor Díaz, deja a dos hombres atrás, se para en el balón para dejar a otro, saca un remate y el arquero Ceylon se estira para sacarla al tiro de esquina. What a play!
What a play. Diaz doing a spin move at the top of the box, really dodging 2 or 3 defenders there and getting a shot off that no one should have got off, really. There were at least 3 Sporting Kansas City defenders, a couple City players running on. Here we have another corner.
Tiro de esquina. Viene Díaz, balón sobre el piso, la rechaza Sporting KC, le queda a Piro jugaba con Díaz y no la para y se va al saque de banda. Ahora se viene un cambio más para City2. Viene Isaac Jensen al campo y se va Juan Hussein.
Looks like Isaac Jensen will be coming in on the right side for Hussein. That's not his natural position, but we have seen him be effective on the right side.
Substitution for St. Louis City, leaving game number 7, Juan Hussein.
We'll see how
and
they
then
combine because
rematch number 40, Isaac Jensen.
And as I said, that he goes to the left side, and now we'll see
In the 70th minute.
right.
Yeah, they just switch. Okay, so they go to his natural side. Hopefully, this is what St. Louis City2 needs to get some offensive boost. Por ahora, Sporting KC se acerca. Finalmente logró recuperar St. Louis. No le dio espacios. Se aleja el balón del área de St. Louis. Todavía lo tiene Sporting KC 2, pero tiene que jugar hacia atrás porque St. Louis no le da espacios. Balón para Isley. Isley juega con Clark. Clark cambia de dirección, buscaba un pase, pero ahora recupera St. Louis. Balón de Di Rosa buscando a Di Armstrong. Di Armstrong está con 2 más. Se la da a Víctor Díaz. Díaz juega hacia la izquierda para Jensen. Jensen trata de jugar de primera, pero pegan un jugador de Sporting KC y se va al saque de banda.
wonderful move for Dita Armstrong. They sent that ball forward. He was on the run. He settled it, turned, held the ball up a little bit, and made a wonderful pass. A couple more passes, and we get a shot and a throw in. So that was really good work from Dita. Are we asking questions? Can he run in behind like Darling had trouble with in the beginning of the season? Yes, the answer is yes there. But can he hold it up like Darling does? That was a good example of him holding up and doing a good job.
I really like what he did there, holding the ball and waiting until he gets some support instead of trying to do the play by himself. So yeah, I really like the moves he did there. And for now, it looks like there is a player that needs to be assisted. Tiro de esquina para St. Louis City 2.
We just got word, Santiago, that Portland Timbers did score against Tacoma, so that is 1-0 against them. That changes things quite a bit. Maybe take some pressure off.
Yeah, so with Timbers 2 winning, St. Louis, even with this tie, will take the first place in the conference.
What a world. But that's exactly what we thought Timbers in the best case scenario would do. They would hold out toward the middle end of the game, score a goal, and Timbers can hold out. I was worried about them being able to win this game, but this is a scenario that is playing right into their hands. This is what they're good at.
Tacoma's on a red too.
Oh, and Tacoma's on a red. We just got word. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Telling Pat. I'm speaking over you.
Yeah, no,
I'm just not distracted.
I can hand this mic to you, bud. If you want. I like it.
Yeah, so we got some collaboration here in the press box.
Yes.
Tacoma is also playing with 10 men, but so far holding, and St. Louis getting the result it needs, but with Tacoma playing with 10 men, maybe it will be better if St. Louis scores, so they can at least get the edge if Tacoma ties the game and get that point. That's the edge if St. Louis doesn't get a win. Bueno, acá también hay unos cambios en Sporting KC. Se va el número 66, Bakayoko, y entra el número 44,
Bakari Bakayoko.
Cortes.
Entering the game number 44, Cortez Kelman.
Cortes
In the
Kelman,
73rd minute.
número 44. Balón al área, le queda el rebote a Di Rosa, pero rebota en un jugador de Sporting KC, le queda el balón a Vida, lo marcan dos, Vida hace un par de movimientos, deja a los dos atrás, Vida se acerca, saca un remate, rebote, balón al área, se levantaba Jensen, pero no le alcanzó y sigue St. Louis con peligro. Viene Celio con el balón, rechazaba Sporting KC y sigue el partido 1-1. St. Louis buscando sacudirse, buscando ese segundo gol que le dé tranquilidad, a pesar de que Portland Timbers le va ganando 1-0 a Tacoma. St. Louis quiere asegurar el resultado. También un gol de Houston. Houston va ganándole 2-0 a North Texas. Y con estos resultados, St. Louis quedaría primero en la tabla. Segundo lugar, Tacoma Defiance. Tercer lugar, Houston. Cuarto lugar, North Texas. So, really looks like if things hold, we will see North Texas.
Substitution for Sporting Kansas City 2, leading the game number 48, Pavea
This is
Rod.
just everything's going our way here.
Yes, in the game number 84, Jahan Rod.
Sporting
In the
Kansas City's
73rd
back
minute.
there. But let's hopefully it holds on. I'd love to see another goal here, though, and I really like the chance that Jensen had.
Did the board
It's
have
really
board
nice. Jensen is
one of
a
the
very
original
tall
stuff?
winger. It says he's 200 pounds. I don't know if that's true or not, but he was an easy target to see. It was good vision to find him on the far post there, but he's a big, tall, blonde man, and he was. We haven't been able to see whether he has a good header on him, but he did have a good chance there. Good positioning either way.
Ya estamos 75 minutos, sigue el partido 1-0. Hubo otro cambio en Sporting KC, se fue Cavey Brad y entró su hermano, no lo encuentro acá en la lista, pero entró obviamente también de apellido Brad, pero sigue la cosa en la familia y Sporting KC también moviendo su banco a ver si con piernas frescas pueden salir a buscar el resultado. Tiene Sporting KC por la izquierda, juega con Isley, que juega con Clark. Clark la cambia rápidamente, buscaba a Miura, pero el balón va a las manos del arquero Michael Rico. Viene John Yaro buscando a Dida. Finalmente Brad la rechaza, le quedaba Celio tratando de hacer un sombrerito. La recupera bien Sporting KC. Acá nos cuentan que Portland acaba de hacer otro gol. 2-0 el marcador. And Phil, did you hear that?
Yeah, I'll take a 2-0 in Portland. That's wonderful. Good news.
Yeah, that's good news for City2, but I think St. Louis is still looking great if they can get the second goal and get the 3 points. It will also help them, like they are coming from 2 consecutive losses, and getting 3 points, I think it'll be a great.
Rod is 48, right?
Yeah, and he's off. Yeah, we're seeing St. Louis tired a little bit of Dida. Dida's making all the runs. Getting some chances here. He had a really good dribble in toward the middle. But Kansas City's holding pretty solid, even though St. Louis is getting chances. I thought it was interesting that they put in Kelman because he's one of the leaders.
No, it was 48 started in 48 out.
Kansas City.
No.
So that may be what they're thinking, putting him on high, so they're trying to steal another goal or even defend out the rest of the
Viene Celio, la recupera, saca 4, defienden 4. Balón para Celio, juega, balón para Celio, al arco, se estira el arquero Ceylon y la manda al tiro de esquina.
Good decision making there for City. Held the ball until the last second, able to get a pass off to Celio. Celio with his 3rd or 4th shot on goal in this game. Still not getting it past the 16-year-old though, is he?
No, 16-year-old.
So actually, on the sub card from your bench, they had it switched.
Oh, okay. And that one especially was his best shot of the game. It was upper right corner. It was a really good save from Salem.
Yeah. Buena combinación de Akil Watts con Celio, y Celio sacó un remate que el arquero de Sporting KC, Carlito Ceylon, sacó al tiro de esquina. Este jugador de 16 años lo ha hecho muy bien el día de hoy, y pues mostrando que hay futuro para la portería de Sporting KC. Phil, this 16-year-old has done really well today.
Yeah, he has. I mean, St. Louis has had the chances. It's, often in the games that St. Louis loses, there are so many chances created. There are so many shots on goal, more possession perhaps than we even want. And I think we're starting to see that the stats pile up, and it doesn't always mean that St. Louis comes out on top, even though the stats are looking favorable. So we'll see if he can hold out the rest of the game, see if the Sporting Kansas City can support their goalkeeper, who's really performed well today.
Yes. St. Louis is trying to get that second goal. Here we were just trying to figure out if Portland was really up to nothing, and I don't see it here online when I refresh my screen, but just got confirmation they scored 2-0, Portland up, and that's the result en el tiro de esquina. Cabezazo de Hibbert que se va desviado, y saque de meta a favor de Sporting KC.
A few stats, and we're a little bit late on this. We'll have to work on this if we do this against San Diego. 18 shots, 7 shots on goal for St. Louis versus 7 shots, 2 on goal for Sporting Kansas City. Accuracy for passing is 78 to 77. We're seeing a little bit of that, lower passing accuracy in the league playing out in this game. Neither team cares about that, so that's not a big deal. 7 corners to 1 though in City's favor. Again, they're stacking the stats, but can it pay off in the goal?
Yeah, Sporting KC. I was just looking at the possession, and Sporting KC has had the most possession, but St. Louis just needs that second goal. St. Louis usually gives possession to the other team, and with that press and counter-attacks, they're able to create goals. But we have about 10 to 15 minutes to go, and it seems St. Louis can unlock that second goal and don't depend on anybody else. Although things are looking good with Tacoma losing to nothing. So right now, St. Louis will be in first place, and you will see North Texas next week at a place to be determined.
In St. Louis, if it stays the way it is,
Well,
that's the most vital part.
But it could be ours.
Yeah, right. Well, Santiago, should we put out the rumor there that it's going to happen in Fenton? Are we the ones putting this rumor out? I think it's just us.
Yeah, that's just us dreaming. Okay, viene St. Louis City2, oportunidad con pelota quieta. Está Max Snyder, Snyder saca, remate al primer palo y viene el arquero Ceylon otra vez sacando otra oportunidad de St. Louis City2. Se está convirtiendo en la figura del partido este jugador de 16 años, haciendo las cosas muy bien para Sporting KC y evitando que St. Louis anote el gol que le dé la victoria y la tranquilidad. I like this 16-year-old.
I do too, but I also love that hybrid from Schneider. It was kind of a cross/pass/shot. I mean, if it wasn't blocked, it might have scored a goal, but there was a City attacker right there ready to head it in too. But, again, Khalida Ceylon just taking care of business there.
Balón para Ceylon, Ceylon la rechaza. Se levanta Cal Giver, la rechaza, pero le queda a Davis. Balón para Clark. Clark juega con el número 42, le queda otra vez a Davis. Balón para Colin Fernández, cambia de dirección, juega hacia atrás con que hace un mal pase y la recupera St. Louis. Viene St. Louis en el contragolpe, viene Jensen, prende la moto, pero finalmente hace la pausa. Jensen hace un pase hacia la izquierda, centro al área, le quedaba Dida que sacaba un remate, pero muy débil, rebota en un jugador de Sporting KC. Le queda ahora el balón a Kill Watts, que se la devuelve a Jensen. Jensen jugando con Max Snyder. Snyder juega hacia la derecha para Celio. Celio al borde del área, lo marca Clark. Celio trataba de dejar atrás a Clark, finalmente Clark parece que la tocó Celio y se va al saque de banda. Seguimos 1-1 sobre 83 minutos.
There's that comeback pass that I love. Really good chance, and then Kill Watts kind of got stuck with the ball, nowhere to go once Sporting Kansas City got back. Sporting Kansas City doing a good job. They're defending out this game so far. And like I said, Kelvin was put in there, I don't think on accident, because we're looking at another stat here for the game. Duels won 48-40. It was even worse in the favor for Sporting Kansas City. That's maybe a question I'd like to ask Benny Feilhofer. How much do they put an emphasis on winning duels and winning individual matchups like that?
Bueno, se preparan más cambios ya sobre el final del partido y tal vez el técnico esté conforme con el resultado. St. Louis sigue apretando, sigue buscando ese gol que le dé tranquilidad. Balón para Celio por la derecha, lo marca Clark. Celio y Clark la manda al saque de banda, no pudo ganar el duelo. Y balón para St. Louis City2. Y se vienen dos cambios más. Se va de la cancha el número 88, que es Colin Fernández. Y va a entrar el número 33, Joseph Tete.
Why do you have 51 on the board?
I don't know.
This is a surprise. Colin Fernandez is one of the best, most experienced players on this team. He's 25. I think he's the oldest player on the team at 25, but he is leading the team in interceptions and key passes. So it's a surprise to see him go off. I think we're getting some young players on, so we'll see how they perform in the final minutes of an important game.
Yeah, last game of the season. So
Special game, not important.
Yeah, at this point, maybe give some minutes to the younger guys.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Balón para
City, I want to capitalize.
Rosa, centro, se levanta Ceylon, que sigue convirtiéndose en figura. Le quedaba a Miro juega hacia atrás para Snyder y dice el árbitro que
Also leading the game, number 88, Colin Fernandez.
Lining the ball up. I think he wanted to have a go on that one. He got back at the last minute, which was probably smart. But we've seen him score on that before, and it would have been lovely to see a repeat.
Oh, that would have been a great goal.
Just an absolute rocket from well outside the box.
Minuto 86, seguimos 1-1. siguen dándose los resultados que necesita St. Louis. Portland Timbers 2 mostrando su mejor versión, ganándole a Tacoma 2-0. Y en el otro partido que importa para nosotros, Houston Dynamo 2 ganándole a North Texas 2-0. Y con esto St. Louis sería el mejor equipo de la conferencia, tendría ventaja como local, especialmente los partidos de playoffs. Y en caso de que Columbus Crew 2 tenga un tropezón y no llegue a la final de la conferencia, de llegar St. Louis, también sería de local en la final de este MLS Next PRO. Viene Sporting KC, balón hacia el área, Yaro se la tiene que dar a Michael Crick, que la rechaza rápidamente, se levanta Díaz, finalmente el número 33 de Sporting KC la rechaza, viene St. Louis en el contragolpe, Díaz deja a dos jugadores atrás, se le va larga, la recupera Sporting KC, ahora es Sporting KC el que viene en el contragolpe, balón para CJ Mata, juega hacia atrás, balón para Davis juega hacia atrás con el número 33 Joseph Tite, la sigue jugando hacia atrás Sporting KC 2, balón para el arquero Saylor saca largo, cabezazo de Yaro, desvía el balón otra vez a Sporting KC, finalmente la recupera Piro la rechaza, balón rechazado por Sporting KC, balón en medio campo, sigue presionando St. Louis, Sporting KC, rechazo largo, le queda a Piro, no encontró con quién, acá hay un tiro largo y tiene que ir a corregir el arquero Michael Crick para evitar un gol de Sporting KC.
Testing Michael Crick, yes, he's well out of his goal. He's happy to help with distribution out of the back, especially at the end of the game, but they test him. That was a really smart move from the game.
Viene aquí el Watt, balón hacia la izquierda para Jensen desborda, se acerca al área, vamos a ver si deja atrás su marcador, hace una finta, saca un centro, buscando a Di Rosa, pero finalmente la rechaza Clark, se queda con el balón y ahora viene Sporting KC en el contragolpe. Viene Sporting KC y finalmente la corta.
What a great challenge from Hebert there.
La corta Kai Hebert. Muy buena defensa y está el jugador de Sporting KC en el piso para el árbitro el partido. Era Moore. Y vamos a ver si se repone. Estamos ya en 89 minutos. Parece que este partido va a quedar así. Ha habido más interrupciones en este segundo tiempo, así que seguro veremos unos 4 o 5 minutos de posición. Pero por ahora St. Louis obteniendo los resultados que necesita. Phil, is this a good result for St. Louis? Yeah, it's gonna clinch first place, but are you happy with the tie?
Not at all. No, St. Louis was not controlling their destiny in this way. They're getting lucky that everyone else is taking care of business for them. So, no, I think there needs to have been a second goal, or they needed to defend out. But I think we've seen in past weeks that St. Louis City's defending, they're able to be caught out, just like a lot of pressing teams. It's not something that is necessarily terrible, but if you are going to get caught out, you're commonly getting caught out at the end of the game or even at the beginning of the game, you better give yourself a cushion. And that's what we were kind of talking about at halftime, that we can't just sit back and take this 1-0 win as if Sporting Kansas City can't steal a goal, much like luckily Portland Timbers is doing for us, and as well as Houston kind of taking care of North Texas. Those are 2-0. But, you know, Sporting Kansas City's starting to play the game here, right? They're starting to slow down everything. I saw going down and staying down for a while, probably right up to that 20-second limit that MLS Next PRO is set on him. He's still in the game, so.
Well, now he has to stay out there for 3 minutes.
Oh, you're right. He did hit the max time. I apologize. Yeah. All right. So I do enjoy that.
Let's see how many minutes. 9 minutes. So we have a third half here. Se viene el tercer tiempo. 9 minutos de reposición. 9 minutes looks like a lot.
Santiago, what do we think about
10
this?
subs, 1
Hey,
goal,
they're half.
1 injury.
Well, I guess
4 minutes for drama.
I guess MLS Next Pro wants to add
Yeah, I guess so. I've never
like
seen that.
some
Mine's a
drama
lot.
to this game and see if Sporting KC can play a spoiler and give that one respect. Por ahora está St. Louis en el campo de Sporting KC, la tiene Celio, juega con Snyder, juega con Víctor Díaz juega con Celio tiene espacio, trataba de hacer un centro, le queda otra vez el balón, remata al arco y el arquero Ceylon la saca al tiro de esquina. Sigue St. Louis tocando la puerta, pero se ha encontrado con una muralla llamado Carlito Ceylon.
Perhaps the story of the second half is that individual effort and individual talent, 1v1 attacking. So Celio doing a great job there. We've seen Isaac Jensen do the same thing a few minutes ago.
Tiro de esquina, cobra aquí el bot, va el balón al segundo palo, pasa de largo, le queda a Dida Armstrong. Dida cambia de dirección, está en el 1-1, recupera al hombre de Sporting KC. Viene Sporting KC en la salida, balón largo, pasa por Di Rosa. Michael Crick parecía que iba a salir, pero finalmente Di Rosa le dice: yo la tengo. Juega con Kyle Hibbert. Viene St. Louis saliendo, balón para Guido, busca haciendo un pase largo, finalmente la rechazaba Sporting KC. Y acá hay parecía que había falta, pero dice el árbitro que juegue. Y acá otra falta, pero el árbitro no pita nada y siguen jugando, sigue dándole la ventaja el árbitro a los dos equipos. Y acá hay un contragolpe. Finalmente había un fuera del lugar.
Seen some good teamwork from the referees here. She let the play on. Looked like a bit of a foul, but she let everyone play, and then an offside ball. It was good work. Good defending too. The line was high. Josh Yarrow was.
You guys are playing right now.
Bueno, balón para St. Louis y 2.
Yeah, like the balls.
Max Snyder frente al balón. 1-1, adicionaron 9 minutos, así que nos quedan como unos 6 o 7 minutos. Vamos a ver si St. Louis va a buscar solo controlar el balón, mantener la posesión en el campo de Sporting KC, o si van a seguir buscando el segundo gol. El partido de Tacoma y Portland siguió 2-0. Houston también ganándole 2-0 a North Texas. Ya entró el jugador Miura después de los 3 minutos y ahora está Sporting KC con 11 otra vez. Hay una falta a favor de Simón.
Foul called there. Celia wanted to play on. He had gotten free of his defender there, but
set piece oportunidad de pelota quieta para St. Louis.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. In the event of a tie, the match will proceed directly to penalty kicks.
Oh, I forgot about the penalty.
Me too. There's actually 2 points on the line here, isn't there?
Yeah, 2 points. But with these results, it won't really matter. But I guess they have to proceed and do it. That's the rule.
Now I'm thinking about the Michael Creek penalty save in the Open Cup, right? So
yeah,
maybe we got the right guy in goal for tonight.
Yeah. Pelota quieta, viene Celio, centro al primer palo, la rechaza por el KC. Tiene que salir Michael Creek de su portería a controlar, saca un pase largo, buscando a Dida Armstrong la para y no encontró a Jensen, no se entendieron y el balón va al saque de banda. Se viene un cambio para St. Louis, va AJ Palazzolo y se va del campo Max Snyder, buscando John Howard enfriar ya las cosas, dejar que pasen un par de minutos. El árbitro le dice a Max Snyder que le apure, pero ya un cambio más de This is one of those bedtime goals, right?
I assume so, yeah. I mean, that was what I
AJ
A
Palazzolo.
little strange that Schneider has taken a penalty kick before, so it would have been nice to maybe have him in that lineup. But I think we're seeing Hackworth resign to penalty kicks being the decider here. Perhaps he knows the score in those other games we've been talking about as well.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody is keeping an eye on that. They know. It doesn't matter. Of course, we still want to see St. Louis get 3 points, but things are lining their way, and they're going to clinch first place on the conference. And then, Phil, there's probably going to be some debate and some drama about when this first playoff game will be played at.
Absolutely, yeah. We kind of, in fact, Tom Zimmerman's right behind us was talking about all the options, how there needs to be 4 hours of availability at each field that could be used for that first playoff game. And we talked about all the options that there are and how many games there are. I hope you go look at those tweets because I don't have all the details off the top of my head. But yeah, it might be difficult to find a venue and kind of wondering what day they may choose to do this playoff game.
Seguimos 1-1 y nos acaban de recordar que de mantenerse el empate va a haber definición desde el punto penalti, así que tendremos más acción acá entre Sporting KC2 y St. Louis. Vamos a estar acá llevándoles los penaltis. Phil, I have never called a penalty kick round, so that's new for me.
Yeah, you might lose your voice if there's too many goals.
I'm gonna have to take it easy.
If you need a substitute, I'm willing to give it a try.
All right.
I know the word for goal.
All right. Bueno, saque de meta para City2. Ya quedan en mis cuentas creo que 2-3 minutos. Seguimos 1-1. Tacoma y Portland Timbers 2 siguen 2-0 para Portland.
I don't know if I've ever watched a live game that had 9 minutes of extra time. This feels very long, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And it feels like the players want it to be over just as much as anyone else.
Yeah, and at this point, like, it's not needed. Like, just knowing the other results, like, just let it go.
Well, the Hooligans don't mind though. They're in full voice right now. It's really nice.
They have been so loud. I really like that. We got a good turnout today. This is probably the best turnout at Ralph Cornelius Stadium.
You know what I just remembered is that Dita Armstrong and Ezra Armstrong are both from the Kansas City system as well. So this is kind of an interesting game for Dita.
La recupera.
Those games go final.
Díaz se acerca al área, se perfila, deja un hombre más atrás, saca un remate, pega un hombre, le queda a Díaz, sale el arquero, la saca, le queda a Celio, Celio tiene espacio, la pasa de atrás y rechaza la defensa de Sporting KC2 y parece que este arco de este lado está cerrado para St. Louis KC2. Balón ahora para Díaz dentro del área, la pasa hacia atrás para Rosa, Rosa saca un centro, segundo palo, cabecea Sporting KC2, viene Jensen a buscarla, pero la deja ahí al saque de banda. That was a really good chance for Celio.
So many chances too, and really good vision to find Celio on the far side, wide open. He made some moves. It got yet another shot on goal, but it didn't pay off yet again. I think we have to say good word from Carlito. So.
Ya creo que está el tiempo cumplido, de pronto un par de minutos más, acá un cambio de frente para Sporting KC, se levanta bien Di Rosa, le queda el balón a Celio, Celio muy inteligente y la central da el pitazo final, partido 1-1 y nos vamos a la definición por penal. Vamos a los penales, pero ya con este resultado, St. Louis City 2 está en primer lugar. Está John Hackworth felicitando a los jugadores. Me parece que ya les comunicó que ha pasado y ya es más de trámite estos penales. So we got some extra action, Phil.
Yeah, and I'm not up on the rules.
So the Timbers game's final.
I know they get 2 points.
They get 2 points. The loser gets 1.
Okay, so the loser still gets 1. So there's nothing in jeopardy here. I started to get nervous thinking about all the options here. This isn't the worst thing. We got a result that led to the end that we want.
Yep, and Tacoma's games is over. So 2-0 2-0 win for Portland, and that pushes St. Louis City2 to first place, clinching the best position in the Western Conference and potentially 2 home games in the playoffs.
Yeah, perhaps that's what the Hooligans just announced. We saw just heard some big cheers. The fan favorite STL chant is going now. Rooting on these guys for the penalties. It'd be nice to go home with a win or somewhat of a win today. Yeah.
Yeah. At least 2 points, maybe. Michael Craig will do well in the penalty kicks. But yeah, Phil, it's gonna be St. Louis City2 against North Texas next week.
Yeah, I'm actually remembering. I think I was singing Michael Creek's praise, but I think it was actually. I don't remember what game that was that he had to go up.
It was against Louisville, but he didn't stop any of the penalties.
Yeah.
We were obviously from outside. It's really easy to talk about it, but yeah, we were talking on our DM that he didn't do well in that penalty kick situation, but maybe he will redeem himself here.
Yeah, I mean the pressure's off too, and it'd be just as exciting to see this development two-side show that a goalkeeper has learned something from such a high crazy Open Cup game against a difficult team in Louisville City. So we'll see how he does. We'll see what the lineup is. I'm just curious, thinking through my head the best finishers on the team. It's kind of stacked, to be honest, right now. A lot of good shooters on the ball. Kill Watts, in the midfield is going to have just as good penalties as a lot of the attackers.
Yeah, probably Akil Watts, Diaz, Celio.
And Dita Armstrong's out there. Do they let him go first, get it out of the way? Because he was the one that missed Louisville as well. At the very
That's
end.
true.
Yeah, so maybe they give him a chance. He gets a little redemption in this one. Same for Michael Creek. A lot of weird, penalty kick storylines in comparison to that Louisville City game.
Right, St. Louis, City2 tratando de el técnico John Harcourt decidiendo quiénes van a cobrar los penales. Viene y se reúne el equipo, los llama el capitán Josh Yaro y están todos juntos. Ya saben que fueron los primeros de la conferencia y están acá reunidos, seguro dándose ánimo para la definición por penales. Sporting KC2 haciendo lo mismo y se define este clásico de la I-70 por penaltis, el clásico entre Missouri y Kansas se va a la definición por penaltis.
Well said, yeah. No, I'm remembering a story. I'll try to say it as quickly as possible. The last time I saw a Kansas City team, they were Swope Park at the time, it was the Western Conference Final, and the penalties against Oklahoma City, of which famous St. Louis FC player Sam Fink was a part of, went to penalties to the goalkeepers, and they were the deciders of the game.
The goalkeepers?
Yes, Swope Park ended up winning that one. And, we'll see. Maybe it'll go to goalkeepers. That would be, crazy and exciting in its own way, wouldn't it?
Yeah. That game against Louisville, it almost went to that. If Dida had made that penalty, he would have been the goalies in the last penalty kick. It was 10 rounds. The last round was the goalies. It didn't happen. Okay, so acá ya va a empezar la definición por penaltis. Va a empezar cobrando Sporting KC con el número 61.
Josh Cohn.
Y vamos a ver cómo le va a Michael Creek. Josh Cohn. Michael Creek.
Would you choose to shoot first or second?
Number 61, Josh Cohn.
Second.
I like that as
I
well.
like second.
So that's what City gets in this one.
Josh Cohn frente al balón, se acerca hasta Michael Creek. Primer penalti para Sporting KC. Josh Cohn al arco. Gol. Gol de Sporting KC. 1-0 en los penaltis. Y viene, creo que es Víctor Díaz para el primer penalti para St. Louis City 2. Y bueno, tenemos al joven de 16 años. This is probably the first PK round for this young goalie.
Now shooting for St. Louis
Yeah, I
City
think so. At
number
least
10,
playing in
Victor
MLS
Diaz.
Next PRO competition. See how he does. Michael Creek guessed wrong there. It was a well-taken penalty with a stutter step to the left. Let's see how Diaz does.
Viene Víctor Díaz, Carlitos Ceylon, Víctor Díaz, no toma mucho impulso. Díaz al arco. ¡Gol!
¡Víctor Díaz!
Gol de City2 y empata la definición por penales 1-1. Víctor Díaz.
I like it. Keep it simple, single step, shoot to the far corner with your left foot. It wasn't a perfect far corner, but he did score the goal. Goalkeeper guessed.
If it's 30, it's Vasquez.
30?
Yeah, I think.
Viene
30 is
That looks like
this
it.
is James Vasquez for this penalty kick.
Julián
After
Vázquez.
Oh, Julián.
Sporting Kansas City 2
Julián
for 30,
Vázquez.
Julián Vázquez.
Julián Vázquez. Viene Julián Vázquez con pierna zurda. Se prepara Michael Creek. Julián Vázquez toma buena distancia. Julián Vázquez se prepara Creek al arco. La tapa Michael Creek y le da la ventaja a St. Louis City 2. Michael Creek parando el primer penalti y viene St. Louis a confirmar por medio de, vamos a ver quién va a cobrar este segundo penalti, es Celio. Celio va por el segundo penalti
Is that Celio?
y vamos a ver cómo le va contra este joven de 16
Now
años,
for St. Louis
Carlitos
City
Ceylon,
2,
que
number
hoy
11,
sacado
Celio
de
Pompeu.
todo. Celio, viene Celio, no coge mucho impulso, le dan la indicación para el cobre, Celio, coge impulso, al arco, ¡gol! Gol de City2 y se pone 2-1 en esta definición por penaltis. 2-1, tiene la ventaja después de esa parada de Michael Creek. Y ahora viene, creo que es
You love seeing the Brazilian go top bins. It's one of our fanciest players on the pitch. You've seen it all game, and he goes top left.
Shooting.
Jahan Rod.
viene a cobrar.
Now for Sporting Kansas City 2 for
Está
84,
Michael Creek
Jahan
pendiente,
Rod.
coge buen impulso. Johan Rad, tira al arco, Creek, y adivinó, pero se fue al arco. Gol de Sporting KC 2 y marcador 2-2, pero St. Louis City 2 con un cobro menos. Y se acerca Kyle Hibbert para cobrar el tercer penalti para City 2.
Who's that?
Kyle Hibbert.
Oh, Hebert.
Kyle Hibbert.
Now taking for St. Louis City 2, number 21, Kyle Hebert.
Tiene Kyle Hibbert. No coge mucho impulso. Hibbert. Se perfila. Le dan la indicación. Hibbert. ¡Gol! ¡Gol de City 2! 3-2 se pone esta definición. Buen cobro de Kyle Hibbert. What a shot.
Who's that?
Central defender.
That's true. That penalty kick had a lot of moving parts, but it,
Jake
there were no
Davis.
moves from the
Jake
goalkeeper, so
Davis.
maybe it worked. It was a bit of a slow shot, but it was to the far
Now
side,
for
and it was a
Sporting
goal. That's
Kansas
the
City
most
2 for
important part.
17, Jake Davis.
Jake Davis, un jugador de experiencia para Sporting KC2,
Yep.
jugador que ya hace parte del equipo de la MLS y está frente a frente con Michael Creek. Viene Jake Davis. Jake Davis se perfila con la derecha. Michael Creek listo. Jake Davis al arco. La adivina Michael Creek, pero se va al arco. 3-3 en esta definición y le llaman la atención a Jake Davis por su celebración porque estaba hablándole a Michael Creek.
Ben, there was a little sauce going on after the play on that one. The referee sent him back talking, it looked like.
Yeah. Ben Di
Now
Rosa,
shooting for St. Louis
cuarto
City
penalti
2,
para
number
St. Louis
25,
City.
Ben Di Rosa.
2. Di Rosa frente a Ceylon. Defensa contra arquero. Le dan la indicación, perfil derecho. Ben Di Rosa se perfila al arco. La tapa Ceylon y se pone esto 3-3. Cada equipo ha perdido un penalti, 4 rondas. Y se viene la última ronda. Vamos a ver si es Sporting
TJ
KC2
Fassan, number 70.
o si es St. Louis City 2. Viene TJ
Now
Fassan
for
a
Sporting
cobrar
Kansas City 2, number 70, TJ Fassan.
TJ Fassan frente a Michael Creek y ahora nadie tiene ventaja. Nos vamos esto es básicamente muerte súbita. Si alguien lo falla, el otro equipo lo hace, se lleva los 2 puntos. Está Michael Frick preparándose. DJ Hata. Ya lista. 3-3 el marcador. DJ Hata. Al arco. Buena definición. 4-3 para Sporting KC2. Nada puede hacer Michael Frick. Y ahora la ventaja la tiene Sporting KC. Y se viene el quinto para St. Louis City 2. Se prepara el capitán Josh para cobrar el quinto penalti. Quinto y decisivo. Jugador de experiencia contra un arquero de 16 años. Vamos a ver cuál de los dos se va a imponer. Viene Josh Yarrow se perfila. Da un par de pasos al arco. ¡Gol! 4-4 se pone esta definición y ahora nos vamos a la súbita. Sexta
Joseph
ronda.
Atatete, 33.
Joseph Atatete, el número 36 para
Joseph
Sporting
Atatete,
KC2.
33.
33, thank you.
That will look shockingly similar to Hubert's shot, and it also worked. So maybe my critique was a little too hard.
Joseph Tete va a cobrar de pierna zurda. Le da la indicación al árbitro. Joseph Tete coge impulso. Para al arco. ¡Gol! Gol de Sporting KC2. 5-4 se pone esta definición. Y St. Louis tiene que hacer este penalti. Isaac Jensen va a cobrar el sexto penalti para
Now shooting for St. Louis City2,
Anima
number 40, Isaac Jensen.
Isaac Jensen frente a este arquero de 16 años que ha tenido una gran noche. Vamos a ver si le puede dar los 2 puntos a Sporting KC. Isaac Jensen, se acerca Isaac Jensen al arco y la tapó el arquero Carlito Ceylon y se lleva los 2 puntos Sporting KC2.
Your final score
Para
on
St.
penalty
Louis
kick, Sporting KC2.
y se lleva la primera posición de esta conferencia oeste, ventaja de local en los playoffs y bueno, veremos dónde se va a realizar este partido. Final thoughts. Phil.
Oh, that was fun.
Sporting Kansas City came in with a plan. I think they executed that plan about as expected, right? There were
Hey
troubles
guys, while
along the
not
way.
the finish we were looking
Also,
for tonight,
many
based
chances
on the
created,
results out of
not
Tacoma,
just a few.
Washington, where
St.
Tacoma
Louis
lost
gave
to
up a
Portland,
few chances,
and in
Kansas City
North
was able to
Texas,
execute and to put pressure
where
on
North
and keep
Texas
that
lost to
pressure
the
on.
Houston
Score
Dynamo
the
2.
tying goal,
Your St.
take it
Louis
to
City
penalties
2
and
team
deliver. I think
clinched
Sporting Kansas
the
City
Western
deserves a pat on the
Conference
back for this
title.
game. They did what they needed to do to get it done.
We
They
are
played spoiler to
champions
some
of the
degree
West.
in this rivalry game, Missouri versus Kansas. St. Louis has to deal with that. However, it is mostly a happy ending in that we are going on to the playoffs, a home playoff game at that first round.
Sí, un final feliz para St. Louis City 2. Ya se lleva la conferencia y aunque hubiera sido bueno terminar con victoria, igual se dio el resultado que necesitaba. Nos comentaba Phil que Sporting KC2 hizo un buen trabajo en el segundo tiempo, anotó el gol, siguió buscando el partido y tuvo a la figura del partido, Carlito Ceylon, que evitó unas 3-4 claras de St. Louis City 2 y en la definición por penaltis también atajó 2 y 2 puntos para Sporting KC, pues que no le valen de nada más por el orgullo de llevarse el clásico, pero St. Louis City 2, playoffs, localía y más adelante esta semana veremos dónde se va a jugar este partido. Phil, appreciate you joining me today. I hope you had fun and maybe we can do it again soon.
Yeah, I would love that. I had a really great time. Thanks for the invite.
Thanks, Phil. Bueno, eso es lo que tenemos hoy para ustedes. Este es el fin de la transmisión y les seguiremos dando más actualizaciones y más noticias de City 2 a lo largo de la semana. Partido va a ser contra North Texas. Nos vemos. Chao, chao. Ya, esto.